Next man up, 1025 The Game. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly, broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. And as we are every Friday, we are joined by Max Herz from Preds Radio for the first hour of the show, talking all things Smashville as they returned to Bridgestone Arena last night, a shootout win over the New York Islanders. Max, how's it going?
What's up, Jake? It was good to be back home. It really felt like a long time, and I know the fans felt it too. So, yeah, awesome crowd last night. First of 4 home games in 6 days. So we got 3 more of them coming up.
Yes, back-to-back over the weekend against Chicago and Washington, and then Tuesday against Edmonton to wrap up the homestand. I'm sure it did feel like a while. 7 straight games on the road, but a 6-game road trip. The Preds were able to get 4 wins out of those 7 games. Come back home last night, and luckily, I got home just in time to watch overtime in the shootout. Got back from Vandy. Women's team won again, 99-68 over Missouri. Got back just in time to watch the end of that game. And man, Max, that was a fun one last night. You mentioned the crowd. You could hear it through the broadcast, how loud it was in Bridgestone Arena last night. And what a way to end the game. UC Saros was absolutely sensational last night, especially in overtime and in the shootout to help the Preds get that bonus point.
Yeah, we're getting used to it again, right? Like it feels normal for Saros to be really, really good every game, and it's the anomaly when he's not. And that's how you got to win. If you're the Preds, that's how you got to win. And that's why I got an 8-year extension. And you see it with some of these other teams that the Preds play. They don't have the goalie, and there are teams that have everything other than the goalie, and they're still looking for the goalie. So the Preds are really fortunate to have that. And last night, Saros was the biggest reason why they won the game. He was the reason why they won the shootout again. Forsberg a sick goal. Stamkos hit the crossbar. Saros had one where he came across, didn't make the save, but had the puck at the post, and 2 big stops. And the Preds still haven't lost a shootout in 3 years, and Saros has been in goal for the majority of those. So, yeah, it was a great win on home ice, and first game back from a long road trip. Stereotypically in the NHL is really, really hard, especially with the travel that the Preds had. They didn't get back till pretty much early evening on Wednesday. So it was kind of show and go on Thursday. Not all of the players had skated since they got back. They've been prioritizing rest. They haven't been having full morning skates, and it's been working. So they stuck with that. But that's not an easy game to win. First game back from a long road trip, a team that's playing really well on the other side with some young talent and some speed that's coming off a 9-0 shutout win in their last game. And the Islanders are starting a road trip even longer than the one the Preds had. That was the first of 7 in a row for the Islanders. So they wanted to set the tone for that trip. And they're an interesting team. I feel like every time I see the Islanders, I always have to think twice about what they are, but they're really the same group every time you see them. They're Anders Lee, they're Matt Barzal, they're Casey Cizikas. Like, they are the Islanders. They are Patrick Waugh's team. And just like in May 2003, Andrew Brunette still owns Patrick Waugh, at least this time again. So
I mean, it was fun to watch. I got to listen to a little bit of the third period on the way home, and then finally tuned in for overtime. And we always say it with overtime: when you lose that opening faceoff, it can be really tough to stay alive. And the Preds did. The Islanders controlled for a while, and UC Saros stood on his head a couple of times late in overtime. Matthew Schaefer got basically just him on Saros, and a nice blocker save from UC. Preds got some good chances there too. I thought it was a great job by Stamkos and Yossi and O'Reilly out there on that first shift. Yossi had a nice little chance there in overtime that could have won it, but we saw both goaltenders last night really play well, especially in that overtime period.
the interesting development in overtime to me that happened again last night is that there's just no whistles because the goalies aren't going to freeze the puck. There isn't usually going to be an offside. So there were no whistles in that overtime last night. And the Preds only had 3 shifts by defensemen in OT. Roman Yossi played the first half. Nick Blankenberg played the next minute and a half. Then Yossi came back for the final minute. So the big play to me was the save on Matthew Schaefer. And the Islanders last weekend on Saturday night, Schaefer scored an overtime goal on basically the exact same setup against the Maple Leafs, who were his hometown team. It was on Hockey Night in Canada. it was a huge play and one of the big highlights. I mean, it's the biggest highlight for him in his NHL career so far in 44 games. And they pulled the exact same thing again, and he was wide open. And I don't know if UC Saros's mind flashes back to any scout they did of that play, because I guarantee you that was part of the scout on Schaefer's shooting, location, and tendencies, things like that, or if it was just instincts. But he got him with the blocker. And that would have been a tough one to lose, because when the Preds were losing in overtime early in the season, it was in the final 15 seconds of OT.
Right.
And that would have been another one. But they've won 3 straight and 3-on-3 since then. They haven't lost an overtime game since starting 0-4 in OT in this year. And now they are 3-0 in shootouts this season, 8-0 in shootouts over the last 3 seasons, which is just insane to think
Crazy.
about. The last time the Preds lost a shootout, John Himes was the coach of the team. So they remain very good at this. And I mean, it's not because they practice it all the time, but it's because UC Saros is a great goalie, and Ryan O'Reilly, Steven Stamkos, and Philip Forsberg are great shootout takers.
It's crazy stuff that they have not lost a shootout in 3 years. And you did mention the crowd last night. I thought that was important too. This team has been playing so much better over the last month. And you go on that road trip, and I think there's a little bit of worry in the back of your mind of, are they going to be able to sustain this being away from home for 2 weeks, playing 6-7 straight games on the road? And they do. They play well on the road and come back. I think it was really great to see Smashville show out for this team last night. And I'm expecting we're going to get another pretty raucous crowd on Saturday when Chicago comes to town.
Yeah, absolutely. And Andrew Brunette said at morning skate in his press conference, he had a quote I liked, which was, "This is the last game of the road trip. We need to play this like a road game, but to play it that way and have the fans on your side, I think really made a difference." And there was a lot going on last night. The Preds are having their scouting meetings this week, going into the spring season, which is trade deadline, getting ready for the draft, things like that, coming off the World Juniors. And the most recognizable member of the folks in those meetings is Pecorine, who UC Saros wanted to show out for. The Swiss Olympic coaches were at the game last night. They're touring around some NHL cities right now. So they were talking to the guy who's going to be their captain, Roman Josi. So Josi wanted to play well for them last night. And then also celebrating Steven Stamkos' 600th goal. His son's Chasen Carter very adorably read the starting lineup and came out and stood on the blue line with him for the anthem with 600 Stamkos jerseys on. So a lot of guys, like, this is what we're good at here, making every game an event. And like, even for the players, there was a lot going on. So it's like the reminder of this is what being back on home ice is, and the ability to bank points here this week in an interesting homestand. Like, the Blackhawks are definitely a winnable game, obviously, with where they're at right now. The Capitals on Sunday will be interesting because they're not as good as they were last year. They still have Ovechkin. It'll be our first look at rookie Ryan Leonard. And also, they are not going to be on a back-to-back in that game, and the Preds will be. The Blackhawks are playing the Capitals tonight, so it's a little round robin between those 3 teams over the next 3 days. And then Tuesday, the Oilers. And obviously, we saw what Connor McDavid just did to the Preds in Edmonton on Tuesday with an easy hat trick. And Tuesday night is Connor McDavid's birthday. So that gets me a little worried about how much he's going to do in that game. But it's an interesting homestand, and on home ice, the way the Preds are playing right now, every single game is winnable.
Yeah, and you said last night was the night that the Preds honored Steven Stamkos for his 600th goal. It was a fitting end to the game that UC Saros' save was the one to seal it. But I was really hoping when Stamkos stepped up with the chance to win it that he would bury one. He rang the post, but again, fitting with the way UC Saros played, that he had the final nail in the coffin. But would have been cool to see Steven Stamkos get the deciding goal on the night that he was honored for his 600th goal.
Yeah, and I actually think it's pretty okay symbolically, because the last few weeks, the last month plus, the Preds have been winners just because Stamkos has been there, even when he hasn't scored. And look, he blocked a shot in the game against the Flames at the death on Saturday night. The roles were reversed. Nick Hague scored the winning goal in the final minute, the guy who usually blocks shots, and Steven Stamkos blocked the game-winning shot, the guy who usually scores the big goals. So that was like a big example of how this team is winning right now. And I mean, Stamkos got hurt by that. He didn't practice on Monday. He was questionable to play on Tuesday, but hasn't missed a game. He's played through it. So, like, that's your guy. That's one of your leaders, and it only makes the team step it up another notch, which they already were for him.
615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to text or call. Any questions for Max about the Preds? Max is with us for the full first hour of the show today. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. We are off and running on this Friday. When we come back, the Preds coming off that road trip. What are the overall impressions from that long trip out west? Go 3-3 on the 6-game trip, 4-3 if you include the game against Minnesota. The Preds sitting just 2 points back of the final wild card spot. 615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Max Herz, Parker Kelly with you on this Friday morning. Next man up, 1025 The Game. The Game Nashville Sports Network is your home for college football playoffs. Tonight at 6:30 on 102.5 The Game, it's the number 5 Oregon Ducks taking on number 1 Indiana in the Peach Bowl. The college football playoff coverage on 102.5 The Game is presented by Twin Peaks and Parman Tractor and Equipment. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly, Max Herz from Preds Radio is with us for the full first hour of the show here on Next Man Up, 102.5 The Game. Max coming back from that 7-game road trip, 6 games in a row, but 7 straight road games for the Preds. What were some of the overall impressions? That is not an easy stretch, longest road trip of the year for Nashville, and still able to go 500 on those 6 straight. And if you include the Minnesota game, 4-3 overall, not too shabby from Nashville away from home.
I would say my headline, Jake, is that Fedor Svechkov rode a roller coaster for the first time. Is that what you're asking about?
Yes, that's exactly what I wanted to know.
Yeah, I'm actually really sad about it because in Las Vegas, there is one of the casinos has a roller coaster that's half inside, half outside, and it's right next to the arena.
I believe I've ridden it before. It's New York that has that one, right?
Yeah, I've walked past it, and it never seems to be running when I'm there. But anyway, we were back at the hotel after a practice, and Fedor Svechkov was with Brandon Walker, who some Preds fans will know. His job is the director of team services, which means he's in charge of basically everything, travel and everything else that involves our players and team. And the two of them got off the elevator together and asked me if I wanted to ride the roller coaster with them. And I wasn't sure if they were serious, so I didn't go. And that was a big mistake because they went and I didn't get to go. And it was Fedor Svechkov's first time on a roller coaster.
Wow. That is, great experience too. And, it's in Las Vegas, which is great. I guess it wasn't on New Year's Eve. It must have been the day before, but great stuff from Fedor Svechkov. I guess maybe they don't, he isn't accustomed to going places with roller coasters. To not have ridden one at what? He's early 20s. It seems a little bit late.
Yeah, he also spent the entire summer in Miami, so like Disney is in play.
Right, that's true. It's only a short trip up there to Orlando.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm sad I didn't get to go, but they drew me a picture of them going on the roller coaster without me and cheering that I wasn't there. So that's a good memento, at least, even though I didn't get the ride.
I love it. And not too bad of a place to spend New Year's Eve. Did you guys travel on New Year's Eve up to Seattle?
We did. We inched our way from Las Vegas to Seattle.
Gotcha. Right. Because I guess that was a back-to-back on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So you would have had to travel, not going to go up there day of. Something that stood out to me, Max, and I heard Barry Trotz talk about this on his appearance with DVD earlier this week, is that the Preds found a way to keep going behind early, gave up an early goal to fall behind 1-0 in the first 10 minutes of every single game on that 7-game road trip, and still found a way to win 4. I know maybe that's not sustainable to fall behind early in every game, but it was nice to see the fight back after giving up the early goal in every one of those games.
Yeah, after last night, it's 7 in a row now that they've given up the first goal, right, and they've won more than half of those. So it's definitely not how you want to do it, but it shows that the team is capable of it, which earlier in the year we weren't seeing, and that they really do need to get that cleaned up. And a lot of them were power play goals against, which was interesting because they would give up an early power play goal, sometimes very easily in those road games. And then from there, the PK would lock it down and have incredible late game kills, which we've grown accustomed to. So it is interesting. I'm not sure what adjustments need to be made there, whether it's tactically or just mental. But yeah, that is not sustainable if they want to keep winning. That's for sure.
Right. But still impressive to see that this team on the road was able to fall behind as much as they did and still find ways to win, going 4-3 over those 7 straight games away from Nashville. I wanted to ask you a little bit about Nick Hague. He was a big addition in the offseason, probably the most important addition they made this offseason, was injured early in the year, but has been back for a while now. What have you seen from him? Big defenseman out there. He made his return to Vegas, and I know that was a special moment for him on New Year's Eve. And then he got the big goal in the final 30 seconds against Calgary to get the Preds the win last weekend.
Yeah, this is the type of thing that Andrew Brunette has really good feel for, is the mental state of his guys. And he pointed out towards the end of the trip that going through Las Vegas and returning to the place where Hague played 6 seasons, won a Stanley Cup, was part of their first draft class, was really one of their first homegrown guys. That is what really is the final step of settling in on a new team. And maybe if he hadn't gotten hurt in the second period of preseason, he could have settled in sooner. But to be coming back on the fly from an injury, to be a defenseman on a new team, going through a day like that and getting the ovation and getting the love, and Las Vegas has done a really good job with that for both Marchessault and Haig now as they've returned with the Preds. That was kind of the last step for him in Andrew Brunette's eyes of, hey, I'm a Pred now. And the one thing he's done, even when he was still getting reacquainted from his injury, was he was protecting guys out there. And this last week, we've seen it twice over. I mean, the melee in Calgary Saturday night, Haig was the one who put that to bed. He sent Johnny Beecher to the showers, and he just completely turned the whole thing back in the Preds' favor in a situation where the Preds had gotten sucker punched in the face. Like they got pushed around, and they were on the wrong side of some of that. And then Haig completely turned it around with a fight that swung the game in the Preds' favor. He scores the go-ahead goal with 30 seconds to go on his signature move, the slapper through traffic from the point. And that's what he brings offensively. And you want a few goals from him. And if they come in big spots, that's amazing. And that's one of the biggest goals of the season for the Preds. And then last night against the Islanders, Anders Lee just trucks UC Saros, and Haig is one of the guys who is all over him immediately. So, look, I think Haig has held up that end of the bargain very, very well. He's had some nights where he's been good on D. He's protected the net front, which is his main job. I think they're still looking for a little bit more, but I think Bruno pointed it out the right way, that as you go through that for the last time, he's seen Haig snap into full form. And I think the argument is there that over this winning stretch, him and Nick Blankenburg have been the Predators' most consistent D pair.
Yeah, and clearly going to be important for the Predators moving forward that he continues to take strides on the blue line. I mean, that when you look at the offseason this year, the big moves they made were on those D pairs, bringing in Nick Haig, bringing in Nick Perbix. So good to see him starting to step up more. Let's talk Roman Josi as well, the captain for the Preds. Maybe not producing quite as much as some fans may like. I know he was injured for a decent portion of December and late November. What have you seen from Roman Josi? I mean, watching last night, at least in overtime, I thought he was going to win it at the very end there. Maybe like a minute and a half left when he flew off the bench and brought it into the zone. What have you seen from Roman Josi, the captain, as he has readjusted since returning from injury?
Yeah, it's been a similar process to Haig, but when he has the puck on his stick and room to move, time and space, like he did in overtime last night, he's his old self. So I think we're only going to see Josi get better as long as he can stay healthy the second half of this season. I think the Olympics will be huge for him. And as I've said with you before, Jake, like if Switzerland can play well, Josi could be the face of men's hockey at the Olympics.
Yeah. No, you did say that last week, and I think that's a very good point of if the Swiss get through into the medal rounds, I know they're in a group with Canada, but like Roman Josi is going to be a big reason why that team has success if they are to at least win a couple of games in their group.
Yeah, and like they have a good team. They have a really good team. They have 10 or 11 quality NHL players, and then some guys who have played on the national team a ton. Like they're well coached. It's guys who have played together for years. It's guys who know each other. So I think that's a team that really could pull off a surprise win or two.
Yeah, and we're going to talk more about the Olympians coming up here in the next segment. The Preds with 4 Olympians. We did touch on this last week with Max, but the Olympics are coming up quick, and we will talk about it. Roman Josi on the Swiss team, UC Saros and Eric Haula are on the Finnish team, and Philip Forsberg on the Swedish team. We will talk about all of them coming up next. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Again, if you have any questions for Max Herz, he is with us until 10 o'clock. We'd love to hear from you. You can get those in on our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Plenty more to come with Max Herz. Again, going to talk the Olympics, and we're going to talk about the homestand continuing starting tomorrow. The Preds with a back-to-back over the weekend. The Blackhawks tomorrow, Washington on Sunday. They will finish up the homestand against Edmonton on Tuesday. Jake Lyman, joined by Max Herz from Preds Radio, Parker Kelly, next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, joined by Max Herz from Preds Radio for the full first hour of the show. We've got Max till 10, talking all things Preds. The Preds back from their 7-game road trip, winning 4 out of 7 straight road games, and a win last night in a shootout against the Islanders. Preds with a back-to-back coming up this weekend. Chicago tomorrow, Washington on Sunday. Max, let's talk Olympics. The Preds have 4 Olympians. We talked a little bit about them last week, but really cool for the Predators. Roman Josi, Philip Forsberg, UC Soros, maybe the 3 that you would expect most likely to be Olympians, but also Eric Haula. And I thought it was cool hearing Haula's story of being told on Christmas Day that he was going to make the Finnish team. Really cool stuff to see these 4 Preds Olympians, and going to be fun cheering them on as they're out there in Italy.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. People really latched onto that Haula story that he got the call from Antti Pennanen, the Finnish Olympic coach, while his kids were getting ready to open presents on Christmas morning, and he was really nervous. He's like, "Can I answer this right now?" And then afterward, he thought, well, he probably wouldn't have called me on Christmas morning to tell me I wasn't making the team.
Right.
So I thought that was really funny. And then we found out a couple days later in another interview that so Saros, every team announced 6 players in the summer
Yep.
just to kind of get the hype going, and it's really everybody's 6 best players, and many of them included a goalie. So Finland, no doubt, Saros is their number one. So he was one of the first 6. And I asked him, I mean, you found out early. How did you find out so early that you were part of the first 6? And he said, my wife had gotten me a 30th birthday present of tickets for the French Open final at Roland Garros. And he said he got a text from the coach, Coach Pennanen, during the Alcaraz Sinner match, sitting at Roland Garros, that he was going to the Olympics.
That's awesome. I mean, what a moment to get that text for UC Saros. I'm sure maybe he couldn't enjoy it quite as much, but also I doubt that UC Saros was all that concerned whether he was going to make the Olympic roster. I think that one felt like a foregone conclusion for him.
Yeah, I think he was pretty safe, but like, I don't know, to be sitting as a spectator at one of the premier sporting events in the world in an incredible city in
Right.
Europe, to be told that you are going to the premier sporting event in the world in another incredible city in Europe while you watch 2 world-class athletes go at it. It was a 5-set tiebreak win for Alcaraz. Like, I don't know how many major finals have Alcaraz and Sinner played in a row. Like, it's the new Federer and Nadal. So
Right.
pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the Olympics are just a month away. Preds fans going to have the opportunity to cheer on some of their stars over there in Milan. So going to be a great month. And again, that's coming up in early February. Couple other things with the Preds. And again, if you want to get questions in for Max, 615-737-1025 is the phone number. I'm glad you reminded me of this during the break, Max. Justus Annunen signing an extension last week. Big Juice, as they call him, re-signed on an extension. Why do you think now was the right timing to keep him around? And how do you think the Preds will look continuing to have this pairing of Little Juice and Big Juice, UC Saros and Justus Annunen moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's a pairing that works, so there's no reason to mess with it. Annunen understands that Saros is going to start 60 to 65 games a year, and he can live with that, but also he wants to keep improving and eventually make himself into a starter by the time that contract ends, when he'll be going into his age 28 season. So it was very fair value-wise. With how the cap has going up, 1.25 million a year is a really fair rate for a backup goalie that you trust, who you're not ever going to have to replace. So I think it was, yeah, to be honest with you, I think the term was even better from the team perspective than the player perspective, but it was one that both sides were happy with. I think it was a pretty easy contract to get done. Preds are happy that they've got their goaltending set for the next couple of years in a position that has been the point of stability for the Preds in their entire franchise history. I think it's really important for UC Saros to have a backup goalie mate who he's close with. It's obviously been great when they've had 2 Finns, and I think that's something that Saros really likes, so that matters as well. And look, there's a chance that Annunen keeps growing and ends up being a guy who plays more games for the Preds. So there's upside with him that the Preds like. They want to continue to coach him with their goaltending coaches. And my favorite parts of this were, first, that Annunen got a solo lap after practice right before the deal became public earlier this week, and the entire team was screaming at him for going too slow. And he reminded everyone that he's a goalie, so you can't go too fast. But Brooks Bratton asked him in a little media scrum after the contract came out, what's your favorite thing about being in a goalie duo with UC Saros? And he just said, BSing in Finnish. So I thought that was really funny. And then he just stopped talking.
That is something that is underrated, right? In hockey, you could say the same thing with baseball, I guess, that there are a whole lot of different cultures, countries, languages that are represented in these locker rooms. And to have that goalie room be two Finnish guys, I'm sure that is helpful for both of them as they're going about their business. You know, when it talking about playing the game, but also just being friends and having somebody who you can relate to, who grew up in a very similar fashion to you.
Yeah. And look, Saros is the franchise. So if you can do things tangibly or intangibly to keep him happy that you think affect his game positively, you do them. And I think this is an example of that.
Yes, and the Preds set at goalie for at least the foreseeable future with UC Soros and Eustace Onanen both locked up. Onanen signing that 3-year extension last week. A couple other things, Max. You also mentioned Matthew Wood. We've talked about him a ton when you've been on about the hot start that he had early on in the season once he got healthy. Come back to earth a little bit. What's been the thought process with Matthew Wood? I know he was a healthy scratch a couple of nights ago.
Yeah, so since Wood made his season debut, he played 33 games in a row, which is a lot.
Right.
And he was a healthy scratch on Saturday in Calgary and Tuesday in Edmonton. And he was back in the lineup last night. Thought Andrew Brunette pointed out his line post game, and his line pretty consistently during this winning stretch has been Wood on the right wing with Fedor Svechkov at center. So two young guys, and then Tyson Jost on the left wing, who really is playing the exact same role that Mark Jankowski did last year. He's the stabilizing force with the young guys. He's the second center. He's the defensive responsibility guy. Is his game perfect? No, he took a bad penalty last night, but he is what they were hoping for in terms of a 13th forward who can do anything at any spot in the lineup. And he's been good for Svechkov and Wood. So they've made sure that Wood has been in a situation where responsibility comes first. And I think that part of it, even though he doesn't have a goal in his last 13 games and doesn't even have a point in his last 11 games, I think he's still doing what he needs to do to prove that he's an NHLer. And I think the goal scoring will come back. And the reason they scratched him is just to give him a step back. And he's a college player. He's a first-year pro. And the last 3 years, he's really only played 2 games a week on the college schedule. So I think with the end of the long road trip, they wanted to give him a few days down. They put him right back in there last night. I assume they will continue to do that. Like Justin Barron is in play here. And part of the reason that they were able to take Wood out is because Justin Barron hadn't played in 20 games. And they want him to play too, because if a defenseman gets hurt, Barron is going in and he's going to have to play big minutes. So, I mean, you can't just drop these guys right back in not having played. So it's a bit of a juggling act to keep everybody fresh. Like, you don't want anybody to get too tired. You don't want anybody who's not playing to get too stale. So, I mean, that's the challenge of coaching hockey is you got to figure out who's going and who isn't and who you're going to need. As I said last week, Wood is in no danger of being sent down to the AHL or anything like that, but they want to make sure they manage him the right way. And he's such a mature player. He's a coach's son. He understands how this works. And I think he's very sure of his own abilities. And I don't think you've seen his game deviate, even though he hasn't scored a goal in a month.
Yeah, I think you see it across all of sports that sometimes the guy hits the rookie wall a little bit. You get off to a hot start and guys make adjustments to your game, and you've got to be able to make the adjustments back. But definitely Matt Wood is a crucial piece of the future for this Preds team. I wanted to ask you also, saw on your Twitter yesterday that Ozzy Weisblatt was back on the ice in a non-contact jersey for morning skate, but good to see him at least starting to work his way back after he was injured last month.
Yeah, honestly, like there's a chance that Weisblatt didn't even tell the coaches he was skating. He just went out there, which is not what I think happened, but like seeing how he acts while he is out injured just reaffirms how much of a rink rat he is. He's been on the bench for every Preds practice at Bridgestone Arena when he's been hurt, which is not common for injured players. And we were in St. Louis for the first game out of Christmas. Weisblatt wasn't going to play on the trip. He was there. He was just walking around in the locker room in a hoodie. I'm like, how is Ozzy here? He wasn't even like traveling with the team. And there he was. So he is such a good teammate. And it shows in the way he plays too. But yeah, that's a good sign. I don't think we should expect him back before the Olympic break based on the timeline they initially gave when he got hurt. But great to see him out there for optional morning skate yesterday. He was out there late with Barron and Onanen for the scratches skate. And he looks solid. I mean, he's coming back from an injury that could slow him a little bit in terms of puck play. But he's been on the ice presumably by himself while the Preds were away. He's now missed 16 games. and probably going to miss at least 10 more if he's out till the Olympics. So it's going to be a big chunk of time for him to miss. But the fact that there will be a week plus of ramp up practices on the back end of the Olympics will help him reintegrate himself into the lineup if he comes back on a scheduled timeline. Because while the guys who are at the Olympics go to the Olympics, the players who are not in the Olympics will get the same amount of time away as the normal bye week is. So they'll get a week off. And then basically the second half of the Olympic break, every player who's not in the Olympics will be here practicing. And there'll be like, we have a radio show, we have a Smashville Live during that. We have the Nash Vegas Casino night during that. So the majority of the team will be together for the Olympics, and everybody will kind of be getting back into it together. So that'll help Ozzy, who it was great to see. Marchessault did not skate yesterday. He's missed 10 games in a row. So not really sure of his status as they try to kind of reset his injury timeline, which Barry Trotz talked about earlier this week. So not really sure what's going on with him, but good to see Weisblatt. Those are the two guys who are out hurt right now.
Yeah, Weisblatt, I think you make a good point. Kind of a natural ramp-up period after that Olympic break coming up in about a month, a little under a month until the Olympic break. Preds, 14 games remaining, and 8 of those will be played at Bridgestone Arena. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you have questions for Max, you can text or call our phone lines driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com. When we come back, we will wrap up with Max. We will talk about these final 3 games of the homestand coming up. Preds also a tough back-to-back on the road coming up next week when Max will be on with us on Friday a week from now. And we'll also look at some other news and notes around Smashville. All that coming up. Jake Lyman, Max Herz, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game, wrapping up our first hour. Max Herz with us for one more segment from Preds Radio, talking all things Smashville. Preds back from their long road trip and a shootout win over the Islanders last night. They'll take on Chicago tomorrow at Bridgestone Arena. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly. Max, looking ahead to this weekend, we touched on it a little bit. Blackhawks, Capitals coming up, and then Edmonton on Tuesday. I know you mentioned Connor McDavid's birthday on Tuesday as well. Matthew in Nashville texted in and asked, does Max think there will ever come a time when we are not getting our butts kicked by the Oilers? They have kind of been the kryptonite for the Predators. I know Leon Draisaitl is a Preds killer. Do you think the Preds can hang with the Oilers on Tuesday after this back-to-back?
I was hoping that I would get to recruit Connor McDavid to sign with the Preds as a free agent this summer. And since he signed kind of a little pity deal with the Oilers for 2 more years, that's not going to happen until 2028. But when he's ready to listen, I'm ready to
You'll
talk.
be there.
Yeah, I'm ready. I mean, look, the guy hates the media. He hates the media and the pressure of that. And we don't have any of that here. So that's my pitch if he's listening. So someone please tell him. But yeah, like the Draisaitl stuff is nuts. He has 28 goals in 30 games against the Preds, 28 goals and 51 points in 30 career games against the Preds. He's already second all time for the most goals anybody has scored against the Preds. He is 11 behind Jarome Iginla for that record.
Wow.
He has played 38 fewer games against the Preds than Iginla did.
It's crazy. I mean, every time the Preds play the Oilers, I feel like you can chalk it up that Draisaitl's going to score. I know the other night it was McDavid who had the hat trick, but hopefully the Preds, I know they got 2 more games coming up, but I know that game against the Oilers on Tuesday going to be a big one. And yeah, you're right. It's McDavid's birthday. You would expect that he's going to want to at least try and put on a show.
Yeah, well, we are countering that with Dirks Bentley bobblehead night on Tuesday.
There you go.
We'll see if Dirks gets a shift against McDavid's line.
Yeah, it cancels out. Dirks Bentley bobblehead night, Connor McDavid's birthday, all square. You also mentioned the World Juniors. Preds, plenty of prospects participating in the World Juniors last week. Canada and the U.S. didn't quite make it as far as I think you may have hoped. But Brady Martin was out there for Canada, among other Preds prospects. He did get injured, but good to see him out there, and he was definitely a catalyst for Team Canada in the World Juniors.
Yeah, and they were nothing without him. It was interesting to see. I think you saw Brady Martin affect a team of 18 and 19-year-old all-stars the way that you hope to see him affect the Preds, potentially as the captain of the team in the future. He was on the top line with Gavin McKenna, who's going to be a top 5 pick this year, was supposed to be the number 1 pick, might not be anymore. Honestly, I thought he looked really good in this tournament. So we'll see how that affects his status. But it was Brady Martin, Gavin McKenna, and Michael Hage, who's a Canadiens draft pick who plays for Michigan right now. And they were the top line. Martin was on the top line in the top power play. He was producing. He was agitating. He was getting things going. And he ran into a large Czech young man whose last name was literally Man in the semifinals, and hurt either his shoulder or his collarbone or his arm, and missed the rest of that game. They lost that semifinal game. They did win the bronze medal game without him, but they didn't really have the same juice in the top 6 without him. So I think you saw the fact that he's the straw that stirs the drink for teams where he's playing well. And you hope that if he can be a pro next year, either making the NHL out of camp and sticking, or if they change the rules and he can go to the AHL as a 19-year-old, which is rumored, which I think the Preds would want. You hope that's what he can be as a pro. So I think Martin showed well after he didn't make the team in his draft year last year to come in and be a star. And look, if he's in the AHL or back in juniors next year, he can play in this tournament again as a 19-year-old in January 2027. And I think he would be a candidate to be the captain of that Canada team. And the other interesting thing for Canada was Jack Ivankovic, who the Preds picked in the 2nd round this year, who is the the number one goalie in college hockey as an 18-year-old freshman at Michigan, who's the best team right now. He became the number one for Canada, too. He supplanted Carter George, who's a Kings draft pick, who's a year older than him. They ended up kind of giving George the start as a thank you in the bronze medal game, but Ivan Kovic was the number one and gave him a chance. So he showed really well. He's a guy who the Preds seem to have struck gold on late in the second round in this past draft, even though he was not the first goalie taken in the draft. So that was a big one. And Cam Reed, who was 21st overall this year. Like these are the way this tournament works. You play in it usually when you're 18 and 19. Some guys like McKenna, who are superstars, will play when they're 17.
Yeah.
If you have 18-year-olds who are not absolute blue chips, which these three guys weren't, like Martin was close, but he was 5th overall in a down draft. Cam Reed was 21st overall this year. He played on the top D pair the entire tournament, and he was steady Eddie, partnered with a Flames prospect named Zane Perek, who was making headlines throughout the tournament for kind of talking smack about like, oh, the NHL has no personality. Like the Flames won't let me show my personality. Like, and honestly, he has a point, but he was the guy making the negative headlines. He was dancing around on the ice. Like he's a tough guy to play with. And Cam Reed played with him, and like you never noticed Reed in a good way. So that was really positive for Reed as well, who's the captain of his junior team, the Kitchener Rangers. So the Canada guys played well. Teddy Stiga was a name everybody knows coming into the tournament since he scored the winner last year. He was solid for Team USA. And Riker Lee, 26th overall this year, another guy who's an underager, performed really well for Team USA, scored a big game-tying goal for them late in their quarterfinal game that they ended up losing in overtime. But he showed well, too. He's a freshman at Michigan State. He could be back this year. And they did have a member of the gold medal Sweden team, defenseman Viggo Gustafsson, who didn't really play a ton, but he got the gold. So we got one on the gold. And the other name that we really knew very little about, we've never seen him before, Daniel Nieminen, who was a 6th-round pick last year, who wasn't at the draft. He wasn't at rookie camp or training camp this summer. He's a defenseman for Team Finland, and this was actually his second World Juniors, and he played a huge role for them. He's a speedy defensive defenseman. He blocked a lot of shots. He was physical. There was a play late in the game that Riker Lee had tied where he was joining the rush for Finland, and he swooped in, and Lee was the one back checking on him, and he flew right with him. And it was a gratifying moment to be a Preds watcher because it was like, hey, we got speed on both ends of that. So this guy Nieminen, I think, is interesting. He's someone who I think could be in North America maybe within a couple years. But he's a late round pick who matters, and he's someone who Team Finland has identified as a winner. And they actually did not end up medaling. They lost the bronze medal game to Canada, but it was good to see him. So hopefully we get to meet him next summer because we've never had him in Nashville.
Yeah, you can see that the Preds have some young talent coming through the pipeline. I know Barry Trotz, I heard him on DVD this week talking about Igor Surin as well over in the KHL, that he is having a great season, very young, but an up-and-comer as well. So Preds have lots of talent in that prospect pool. We got to see a lot of it on display in World Juniors. Max, big games coming up this weekend, Chicago and Washington. Excited for tomorrow night's game. It is a 7 o'clock puck drop, 6 o'clock pregame show. Always fun when the Blackhawks come to town. I think we're going to get a great crowd. And you mentioned this is a Blackhawks team that got off to a really good start this year, but have fallen back to earth over the last month or so.
Yeah, and Connor Bedard is out hurt, which obviously
Right.
is sick swim for them. I don't think there's any chance he returns for their game tonight or the game here tomorrow. But the next 3 games for the Preds, it's interesting. Sunday is the back end of a back-to-back for the Preds, but the Caps will be rested. The other 2 games, Blackhawks tomorrow and Oilers Tuesday, the other team will be on the back end of a back-to-back, and the Preds won't be. So see if that plays in the Preds' favor at all. But Sunday is going to be really cool. It is going to be the second time ever that the leading goal scorer in NHL history plays in Nashville.
Wow.
Wayne Gretzky played 1 game here in the spring of 1999. So Alex Ovechkin will double that. And I'm trying to get some pictures of the great one in Nashville. So we're we're working on getting the old film out, and we've got our best people in the dark room working on it. But it's always cool to have Ovechkin here at this point in his career. He's a player that everyone, even those who were not fans of his in the early years, have come to appreciate.
Yeah, as somebody who grew up just outside DC, went to plenty of Caps games as a kid. I was at the parade when they won the Cup in 2018. Will be cool to have Alex Ovechkin as the NHL's all-time leading goal scorer playing in Bridgestone Arena on Sunday. Next week, Max, you will be in Colorado for a big back-to-back there. So excited, hopefully, to have you on next week. And hopefully the Preds can start stacking some more points here at home before that one.
Yeah, I think the Preds only have two games on Fridays all season, Black Friday and next Friday. So yeah, it's a rare game day hangout for us.
Yes. So excited for that, Max. Always appreciate you coming on. And everybody, make sure to tune in with Max tomorrow, 6 o'clock airtime right here on 1025 The Game. Have a good one, Max. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, thanks, Jake. Thanks, Parker. See you, boys.
Max Herz from Preds Radio joining us for the full first hour. Great stuff on the Preds as always. Coming up next, Connor Newt going to join us, and we will talk football. College football playoff semifinals. One last night. It was a thriller in the Fiesta Bowl. Miami advancing past Ole Miss. We got Indiana and Oregon tonight. We'll also get more into the Titans head coaching search. A couple more names being requested for interviews today. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Second hour, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly, broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Big thanks to Max Herz for joining us in the first hour to talk Preds. Big win for the Preds last night in the shootout, and again, a back-to-back coming up this weekend at Bridgestone Arena. Blackhawks tomorrow, Capitals on Sunday. Connor joins us now. We're going to talk some football the rest of the show. What's up, Connor?
Hey, how you doing?
I did not get the memo. Both of you guys are wearing Oregon gear today.
I have to support my boys. I coach them. So
I have no question who both of you guys are rooting for in tonight's game.
Yeah. Last night was fun, though.
That was a great game.
It was fantastic.
Night. And that's where we're going to start this hour. Miami and Ole Miss. Parker was shaming me in the break because I had told Max that I watched the Preds game when I got home, which is true.
Yeah.
I had the Preds game on my phone. I had the football game on the TV.
There you go.
He was like, did you seriously go home and watch a regular season hockey game instead of a college football playoff semifinals? Why not both?
Listen, I got to be really careful here because we are the flagship of the Preds, but I didn't think Jake had watched the ending of that game last night, so I thought I had to pull him aside and have a conversation with him.
I got home just in time for everything, where I could multitask. I got home for the fourth quarter of Miami Ole Miss, and I got home for overtime in the shootout of the Preds game. So it was perfect. Yeah. I got to watch both. So that game, Miami and Ole Miss last night, and we're watching the highlights on the TV in studio right now. I mean, I did not think it was going to be as high scoring as it was.
I didn't either.
I thought Miami's defense would play better. Ole Miss did a really good job of containing that defensive line. I think Chambliss was only sacked once on the day. But, man, back and forth all day long. Tony scores the touchdown to go ahead. Then Ole Miss marches right down the field. Former Hokie Daquan Wright scores the go-ahead touchdown for Ole Miss. And then it was Miami who was able to pull away. Carson Beck scores the touchdown with 18 seconds left. What a game last night. And Miami, the last team into the college football playoff, is going to play for a national championship.
You know who is just crying themselves to sleep right now? Notre Dame fans.
Yeah.
They're very upset. But you know what? I honestly don't feel really dumb for picking Ole Miss. I thought Ole Miss, I think, was playing with that chip on their shoulder, and it quite frankly just wasn't enough. There was a pass interference that they missed at the tail end. I don't think that completely changes the result of the game, but it does give Ole Miss 15 yards in one more play.
So I wanted to ask the question, what are your thoughts just generally on pass interference on Hail Marys? Because I think this is a big, philosophical thing for people is, do you think that they should call it like any other play? And if there's contact, you call it. I think there has to be a higher standard on a Hail Mary to throw the flag. But I think that one,
it was pretty blatant.
It was pretty blatant. He had hand underneath the collar here, and it was a catchable ball. Was it a perfect ball from Trinidad Chambliss? No, but it was a catchable ball at the back of the end zone. I agree with you. If there was ever a time to throw a flag on a Hail Mary, I think that was one of them.
I feel like all plays are created equal. Call each play the same way you would play every play. But I see your argument. It's the biggest moment of a game. I kind of just let them play.
There's a higher standard that needs to be met on a Hail Mary, because on a Hail Mary, when the ball is thrown up and there's everybody in the end zone, there's going to be contact.
Yeah,
it's not going to be a clean play.
It's football.
But I think a play like that where he was pretty clearly held, I would have been fine throwing the flag. And especially in college, I think you can get away with it a little bit more because you're right. It's a 15-yard penalty. It's not a spot foul. It wouldn't have put Ole Miss at the 1-yard line. They would have gone again from the 20-25, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I mean, they would have gotten one more play. That's why I don't think it cost them the game completely. Pete Golding said it best if you listen to his press conference. They asked him about this, and he said, look, it was unfortunate. There was obviously contact there, but I'm not blaming the referees for not calling that. We didn't execute down the stretch. Honestly, Ole Miss was settling for field goals instead of, counteracting Miami's touchdowns. So that's why they lost the game. But, I mean, Ole Miss's position players are just unbelievable to watch.
It's real. They're
Trinidad
really good.
Chambliss, I feel like if he wasn't coming back to college, and we still don't know if he is, I think he cemented himself as like a fringe first-round quarterback.
I saw Mel Kiper. He had his list of quarterbacks right now for the draft, and it's the ones you would expect at the top: Mendoza, Moore. He had Simpson 3, and then Chambliss 4 if he came out, which honestly, I would kind of have a hard time disagreeing with him, right? The way Trinidad Chambliss has played this year, I can see that he could maybe get a second round grade. The quarterback I want to ask you about is Carson Beck. I mean, he is in his, 7th year of college football, 6th, 7th year, somewhere in there?
Yes.
Because he sat behind, not Gunnar Stockton, Stetson Bennett for a while.
You know what's funny? His teammate, Malachi Toney, in Carson Beck's first year of eligibility was 11 years old.
You know what? I did not know Malachi Toney's nickname. Have you heard this?
I haven't heard this.
Baby Jesus.
Like Ricky Bobby?
That is in high school, his nickname was Baby Jesus. And I mean, I guess it kind of fits.
He's unbelievable.
He's ridiculous.
I mean, I realized that was a non-catch last night. His foot was very clearly on the line, but what a ridiculous effort to go up and get that ball.
That may have been, if his foot stayed in bound, that may have been one of the greatest catches I've ever seen.
Right.
I mean, reaching back one-handed and somehow finding a way to get the foot down, ridiculous.
His heel is just on the line, which is unfortunate, but
Carson Beck ends up running in the touchdown to take Miami to the national championship game. And as much hate as Carson Beck gets, I'll give him credit.
He looks like baloney.
That dude, and yes, he's getting paid $4 million. So I don't want to give the impression of like, man, Georgia gave up on him and everyone was against him. He got $4 million to go to Miami. But it is a good story of Carson Beck he was projected as the number 1 pick heading into last year and just completely imploded in on himself at Georgia and lost that distinction, had to stay in college another year. And I really do think he's going to get picked on day 2 at some point. I think somebody's going to take a chance on the raw talent and the experience that Carson Beck brings. I don't think he ends up being a good quarterback in the NFL, like a franchise quarterback. No. But Dustin from Hopkinsville does say, I think Beck's going to make a fine backup in the NFL. And I couldn't disagree with that.
That's fine. He can be like a Malik Willis or someone like that. He's clearly not an NFL caliber starting quarterback. There's no way. He makes too many mistakes. He misreads the defenses too much. He did it last night. Contrary to how the game ended, Carson Beck, up until probably the 4th quarter, didn't play very good football. So he's not an NFL quarterback, in my opinion. The thing I'm going back and forth in my mind about, and you kind of mentioned it, Trinidad Chambliss or Ty Simpson. I think those are the 2 most comparable quarterbacks in the we say Trinidad's in the draft. He's not, but not yet anyway. But Trinidad and Ty Simpson, I think, are the 2 most even quarterbacks in this draft class, assuming they both go. One of them is. I think if you're looking at it apples to apples, I think right now Trinidad's probably the better college quarterback, but I think Ty Simpson has a higher ceiling and he's probably a better NFL prospect.
Yeah, and it wouldn't shock me if the Cardinals fell in love with somebody at 3. I don't know if they're going to. Monty Ossenfort seems to be a pretty smart guy, and I don't know if he's going to want to reach maybe ownership.
Nick Frazier might fall to his knees and cry.
Well, Kyler's going to be gone.
Oh yeah.
Kyler's gone. I wonder if ownership, the Bidwells, if maybe they push for a quarterback. I think Ossenfort, just based on what we know from him of his time with Tennessee and what he's done so far with Arizona, I think he's pretty smart. He's pretty calculated. He may try and trade back if somebody else falls in love with a quarterback. But it wouldn't shock me if quarterbacks went 1, 2, 3 in the draft. Long way to go in the process. Yeah. All it takes is if it's Simpson, if it's Chambliss who doesn't get his eligibility and comes out and they make one of those Zach Wilson type pro day throws, boom, they're the 3rd pick in the draft. That's just how things work.
I mean, we could see a Trey Lance scenario here where he just lights up the combine, whether that's Simpson or Chambliss or even Dante Moore just lights it up in the combine. Look, I think he's going 2nd to the Jets. I think they like him a lot, but I'm personally not sold on him as an NFL quarterback just yet, but I'm not really sold on Fernando Mendoza as an NFL quarterback just yet. So they got to prove me wrong, but we know who's going 1.
They're playing tonight.
Yeah, we'll see.
Let's see how it goes. But no, I agree with you. I think almost certainly it'll be Mendoza,
which firmly solidifies congratulations to the Tennessee Titans for making the right pick last year.
Yeah, it was. Did you see the Inez Cooper from Miami, his Instagram live from last night?
I did not.
He saw Cam Ward on the sideline.
I saw he was there.
He goes, "See, Ward's here. I can't lose in front of Cam Ward. No more jumping off sides. I got to lock in. We can't lose in front of Cam Ward." It shows you the impact that he had in that locker room, even in just 1 year. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. I knew this call was going to come.
Do we want to take this?
I mean, we have to. We got to take our medicine. The SEC is not going to play in a national championship game for the third straight year, and the Big Ten will be. They can win a third straight. Dr. Locke, go ahead.
You know it. Take your medicine, boys. Oh, God. SEC later. The most overrated conference in America. What you guys, weren't you lobbying for like 8 or 9 or 12 teams? I mean, how many teams do you guys need and still can't put one in the championship? Come on now.
I mean, we got to take our medicine. We did talk about the SEC and say that there are years that they're going to get 6 teams in, and
I know. I listen to it. And then comes the bowl season, and Vanderbilt didn't sit anybody. Vanderbilt sat one tight end, and Vanderbilt lost to that. Oh God, I wish Tennessee could play a team like Iowa week in, week out. Well, hey, how'd that Iowa taste for Vanderbilt? I mean, that didn't work out for you. Or, Illinois. God, wish we could play Illinois. Well, I don't think you do. I mean, it's the Conference of Champions. It is what it is. We think Ohio State, much to my chagrin, is not going to win another natty, but Indiana or Oregon, the Conference of Champions. So we'll pass them around the shelves.
What, the Pac-12?
Yeah, has the Big Ten taken over the Pac-12's title as the Conference of Champions?
Hey, you guys love your Oklahomas and your Texases and all that. Stop.
Thanks for the call, Dr. Locke.
I mean, I was about to ask him where's his team.
Yeah, Ohio State can watch on the couch.
Yeah. They'll be there. They'll be at a national championship. They just got to buy tickets.
615-737-1025. Appreciate the call, Dr. Locke. Yeah, we got to take our medicine there. The SEC for the third straight year will not play for a national championship.
Sometimes you just got to sit down and take it.
I mean, they've won, 13 out of the last 18? But, yeah, the last couple of years has not gone.
This is coming from an ACC guy over here, by the way.
Hey, ACC going to the national championship game.
Yes, they are.
How much money does the ACC get from this Miami national championship appearance?
I don't know.
I'll do you one better. An at-large ACC team.
Right.
Going to the national
No champions from the ACC.
They get none of it. The ACC. It's all going to Miami.
Really? Oh, because they aren't the champion? Is that?
There was something that came out that the ACC is giving all the money to Miami instead of spreading it out amongst the conference, which will not make Clemson and Florida State happy.
Or Virginia Tech, all the superpowers of the
Tech.
ACC.
Congratulations to Virginia Tech for stealing a recruit from Tennessee.
Hokie, yeah,
Thank you very much.
The Hokies have had a nice little portal class so far.
Tennessee has not.
They got Grunkemeyer, the quarterback from Penn State.
Let's get Grunky.
Yeah. So we'll see. But Miami, moving on to the national championship game. They will play at home. They usually can't sell that place out. Let's see if they can do it for a national championship game.
Yeah, well, you might as well put Michael Irvin in the stands too, because I'm tired of seeing him on the sideline.
Yeah, Michael Irvin. I worry about what he might do on that field if Miami wins the national championship.
He already makes snow angels before the games. We already know this.
There you go.
I'm tired of him taking off his belt and beating a trash can like he didn't just win by 4. So
we're going to find out who Miami will play in the national championship tonight. Will Mario Cristobal face the team that he ditched, Oregon? Or will Kurt Signetti take his miraculous run over the last 2 years all the way to the national championship game? We will talk about it coming up next. Indiana and Oregon, the rematch tonight. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly with you on this Friday morning. Talking college football playoff. Miami advances to the national championship game. They will play at home at Hard Rock Stadium coming up next Monday. So
I could listen to that song forever.
I know you could. I know you could.
Although Bruno Mars just dropped a new song.
I saw that, yeah.
It's very good.
I got to say, I did not know how big of a Bruno Mars fan you were until I've seen your social media post this
that
week.
caught me on
Yeah.
too.
Matt, I mean, I've been listening to him since when it was first out, 2010. I was 6.
Locked Out of Heaven.
Yeah.
Old one.
I remember when this was back when CDs were a thing, kids.
Well, like, yeah, I mean, go all the way back to the beginning, like Grenade.
That's
like
what I'm talking about.
Early Bruno Mars.
Yeah, like 2009, 2010. I was 6. This is back when CDs were a thing, kids. I don't know if you know what that was. Even people ask me if I know what a CD is.
I love you saying kids to everybody.
Well, anyways, we used to, on the way to school, Dad had the CD and you would just plug it in and, ride it out.
I love it.
So I will be there in May. I don't care.
Is he coming here?
Nissan Stadium.
Love it. Love it.
I don't care what I have to pay unless it's like $600. Then we'll probably pass.
Second of the college football playoff semifinals coming up tonight, Indiana and Oregon. We will talk about that. They're out there in Atlanta. But first, let's go to our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Keegan is on the line. Keegan, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Hey, thank you, fellas. Shout out to Parker for the Sabrina Carpenter. That was awesome. I love me some Sabrina.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, thank you, man. But no, to get into this Miami game last night, what a semifinal game. I was thoroughly entertained all the way through. I thought Miami came out very strong to start with, and I think them coming out stronger than Ole Miss to start really slowed down Ole Miss to begin with. And at the end of the game, Miami jumping off to a hotter start really helped them out. But no, really, Jake and Parker probably know this better than, I don't know, whoever else, but I'm a Memphis Tiger fan. So really, I don't have a whole lot to say, but I'm just very, very glad that Ole Miss finally got beat and knocked out of those playoffs. I was sick and tired of watching them. The only thing that kept them in it for me is I hate Lane Kiffin just as much as I hate Ole Miss. So if they won, that was wonderful, but I'm glad to see Ole Miss out of there, get them gone. And, I've been picking Miami every round of the playoffs so far. Never expected them to make it to the national championship, but every week I find myself picking them. I doubt that's going to be the case if they end up matching up against Indiana. If Oregon wins, might still go with Miami in that defense, but if Indiana pulls off that win tonight, you ain't going to catch me picking against Signetti. And that's, I don't know anybody that would at this point, but I don't know. That's all I got. I just want to shout out Ole Miss losing and, let's go the Fighting Signettis next week. All right. Thank you, fellas.
Thanks for the call, Keegan. Yeah, they just showed Lane Kiffin's tweet of heartbreak for Ole Miss.
It's like he Googled heartbreak GIF,
yeah,
and that was the first one that came up.
And I think the funniest scenario would have been Ole Miss winning, and Lane Kiffin having to sit there in LSU where he said he has a chance to win a national championship. Yeah, but, still a great effort from Ole Miss to get within one play of going to the national championship game.
So tonight, thank you to Jake, Parker, and whoever else is on this show.
I think he was saying that he talks to us the most, so we know he's a Memphis fan.
I know. I just want to say, look, I'm a Wildcat. I always will be. But I come from rebel blood. So the Ole Miss or the Ole Piss comment hurts me to my soul. I don't like that.
Yeah, I have no problem with either Ole Miss or, Miami technically is like a Virginia Tech rival, but I don't hate them as much as some other teams out there.
They just kind of annoy me at this point.
Yeah, I like the story of they've just got in. They were out until Selection Sunday, and then they got in, and they're going all the way to the national championship game. It shows you that the 12-team playoff may be necessary. Yeah. Teams that never would have gotten a chance in the past are getting a chance to go win a national title.
Enjoy it while you got it. We're going to 16.
Oh yeah. And tonight, Indiana, Oregon, I think it's going to be a great game. Dante Moore, Fernando Mendoza, likely the top 2 picks in the NFL draft, squaring off Curt Signetti, Dan Lanning.
It's a rematch. Indiana
went into Autzen Stadium and won earlier this year. Can Oregon get their revenge? I do like Oregon. I really do. And when we started the playoff, I picked this matchup. I said it was going to be Indiana and Oregon in the semifinals, and I picked Oregon. But I just can't do it. I can't pick against Curt Cignetti. I think Indiana's going to win tonight.
I'm on the same train as you. I don't want Indiana to win, but I'm done doubting Curt Cignetti. I've doubted him for too long. I picked him against Oregon the first time. He proved me wrong. I picked him against Ohio State, or I picked against them in Ohio State. Proved me wrong. I picked against them when Alabama played them. No, actually, no, I didn't. I said Indiana would win.
Right. We were having this conversation 2 weeks ago. We were like, man, I wanna pick Alabama, but I won't. Yeah. But like Alabama, I think there's something there.
There was doubt there.
And then they got beat 38-3.
So I'm done. I'm done picking against Curt Cignetti, because every time I do, or every time I doubt that he's capable of doing it, he proves me wrong. So I think they're going to go in there tonight and win.
I'm going to pick Indiana. I really do like Oregon, but it's just there's something about this Indiana team. It has a team of destiny feel. Curt Cignetti, we say it every week, Google me, I win. Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman winner. They don't have the flashy Oregon like uniforms and history and money, and Oregon's got more talent. Like, I'll keep saying that. Indiana does not have as much NFL talent as Oregon does.
No, that's what makes it fun.
It doesn't seem to matter. Indiana is just a good football team, and they're going to win. They're going to win tonight, and we're going to get Indiana and Miami for a national championship.
In the battle of who the heck do we pull for? I guess you would have to pull for Indiana. They're America's team at this point.
Yeah, I think as much as they're the number 1 seed, so it's like you kind of root for the upset. It's an upset just in general, historically, for Indiana to have a season like this. For Indiana to go undefeated and win a national championship. I don't even know how to conceptualize that, because no one ever would have guessed that was even remotely possible. Like, what would the odds have been on that? If you 2 years ago, before Curt Cignetti got hired, to bet on Indiana, not just to win a national championship within 2 years, but an undefeated season national championship, which does not get done very often. I mean, bet $1 or win $1 million. It was probably a 1,000,000-to-1 chance for Indiana to do what they've done over the past 2 years.
I mean, this is the playing field that NIL provides you. And I understand Indiana doesn't have the top talent in the entire country on their team. They're just a good football team. But look at Vanderbilt, for example. This is the level playing field that NIL provides you. It turns traditional teams that have maybe not been the best historically into national contenders. Vanderbilt, for example. 2 years ago, if I were to tell you Vanderbilt's going to be on the cusp of making the college football playoff, have a Heisman contender, and bag the number 1 quarterback in the nation this year, you would have called me absolutely insane.
Right.
Indiana, if I were to tell you they're going to be in the national semifinals as the number 1 overall seed, and if they win, they go to a national championship. If I told you that 2 years ago, as Indiana was the most losingest team in entire FBS history, you would have thought I was an insane person.
Yeah.
You would have put me in a straitjacket.
How about you say, hey, Indiana going to go undefeated, win the national championship. They're going to beat Ohio State, Alabama, Oregon, and Miami back to back to win the national title.
Insanity.
And they're favored to do it, right? Like, Indiana is the national title favorite. I struggle to wrap my mind around it sometimes of how fast this has happened for Indiana.
I mean, look, there are problems with NIL and college football, but this is the fun part. This is the part that I like to see, turning these non-traditional football programs into competitive teams. It's fun to watch.
The landscape of all of college sports has been leveled. Parity is much more common across all of college sports. Like, I look at men's basketball. Look at what Vanderbilt's doing right now in men's basketball. How
about the Cornhuskers of Nebraska?
Right, Nebraska, undefeated.
Who thought in August we would be saying that Vanderbilt and Nebraska would be a combined 30-0 in January?
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
I mean,
we got 2 top 11 teams too.
Look at women's basketball. Women's basketball was known for years as one of the sports with the least parity. It was like they were the haves and the have-nots. 5 of the top 10 teams lost last week, including LSU twice. Like, the landscape of college sports with the portal and the NIL. They're not perfect by any means. There's lots of problems with NIL and the transfer portal. But you can see that it is evening the playing field out across all of college sports.
Which is fun. I mean, you're going to see, obviously, the traditional blue bloods like Alabama and Ohio State are still going to be competitive teams from here on out because they get the same amount of money, if not more, than some of these other teams.
Right.
But it's fun to watch Indiana level the playing field.
Yeah.
Or what's an example of a team that isn't traditionally a power? I don't know. SMU, who's better. BYU. There you go. Texas Tech, who's got all the oil money in the world. It's fun watching these non-traditional teams make it because it instills kind of this doubt, like, oh, they're, historically they're not good. Like,
it's Indiana.
And then they go out and prove you wrong.
Right.
It's weird to me that we're at a point where there are people nationally that are like, I'm sick of talking about Indiana.
Right.
I'm tired of seeing
it. It is
them.
funny. Indiana went from underdog, scrappy to people rooting against them because they're too good. It's crazy. And tonight they take on Oregon. You can listen in right here on 102.5 The Game. Winner gets Miami in a home game down there in South Florida in the national championship. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to text or call. Our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. When we come back, we will get into the Titans head coaching search. More names coming out today that the Titans have requested to interview. I think we've gotten to the point where everybody that you have thought of as a Titans candidate is now getting an interview. And we will talk about that coming up next. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly with you on this Friday.
2 for 2. Let's keep it going.
Parker's been bringing the heat all week long, pretty much. Yesterday, he went on a heater with TD in here.
It's pretty easy to get on a heater with TD.
That was probably the best day I've had.
Yeah, TD was vibing on every single song. So
I was here for a little bit. He got fired up about something off the air, and then Dreams and Nightmares came out. I was like, oh, he's going to go off this time.
We are wrapping up week 1 of the Titans coaching search. Lots of interviews have been scheduled, requested, and I said it heading into the break. I don't think there is anybody left out there, and correct me if I'm wrong, Connor, text line, if there's somebody that has been mentioned for the Titans job that hasn't been requested. But after Chris Shula and Jesse Minter were both requested this morning, the report came out last night that the Titans plan to interview Mike McCarthy. I think they've got everybody that has even been remotely discussed for the Titans job. So there's really nothing that you can take from this first week. It's going to be really important, probably end of next week after they're able to talk to some of these coaches who are in the playoffs, who they schedule for second interviews, because those will probably come the week of conference championships, and then you're getting close to finding out who the next Titans head coach is.
Yeah, I mean, they're covering all their bases. They're trying to scour the ground, see who they can get. And obviously, they're getting everyone. And that doesn't tell you anything about the general interest of the job, although I agree with you guys. I heard you yesterday. I think the Titans are in the upper echelon of available jobs. They're in the front half.
They're not one of the worst jobs out there.
I mean, Ravens are very clearly number 1.
Yes.
I think you're right in that probably the Titans, the Raiders, and Giants are probably all three.
I think it's pick your flavor with those. I don't think any of them are head and shoulders above the other, but it's all about the quarterback, right?
Right. And I would put the Titans job ahead of the Falcons and absolutely the Dolphins. The Dolphins, I think,
Dolphins and Cardinals, I think, are the worst too, and the Browns probably in there as well.
Dolphins, I don't think. I mean, they have pieces, but what are they going to do at quarterback?
Well, right, and like
Tua's not coming back.
$100 million on their cap next year is Tua and Tyreek Hill.
They're in QB hell.
Probably aren't going to be there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the Dolphins do. They did just hire a general manager who was rumored to possibly be the Titans guy last year, John Eric Sullivan, the guy from Green Bay.
Sounds like a Catholic priest.
He does a little bit, yeah. But he was rumored because of the links with Chad Brinker. That he could end up being the guy last year. Titans ended up going with Mike Borgonzi.
That is what Pete Weber said to me last night. How would you like to be the head coach of the Miami Dolphins? I was like, I'm kind of busy. I'm pretty good.
I mean, the Titans are handing out interview slips like candy. I wonder if maybe the Titans are going to reach out to one of us at one point.
Yeah. I mean, we may be able to try out for an open position in the Applebee's parking lot.
We were joking about Trey possibly being a coaching candidate. He hasn't called in lately, but
Cam Ward would be shipped off immediately.
Maybe it's because Trey has been in a Zoom interview with Mike Borgonzi. Again, the news this morning is Chris Shula and Jesse Minter have both been requested to the interview for the Titans job. So again, I think that kind of locks up most of the guys that have been rumored in terms of the first year head coach. Clint Kubiak maybe is the only name that I haven't seen out there. And maybe he just doesn't fit what the Titans are looking for.
Yeah.
But
he's pretty young, though.
All of the names that were, Diana Rossini put out there, Jonathan Jones, Shula, Minter, Hafley, McCarthy, Nagy, Saleh, all those names have been requested and more, including Jason Garrett, who will interview for the job today.
Hooray. I really like the group they announced yesterday. Saleh, Arthur Smith, and was it Jeff Hafley that was in that group as well? Those three, they're all on playoff contenders. But I've been a Saleh guy through and through this process. I'm kind of flipping more towards Joe and I talked about this yesterday on Robbie and Rex Road. I'm kind of leaning a little bit towards Team Stefanski. I'm going to stick with Team Saleh just because I got to stick true to my guns. But who do I think it's going to be? I think it's who we all think it's going to be.
You think it's going to be Nagy?
Yeah.
But
the dream is Saleh and McDaniel.
Yeah, and that's basically since Callahan got fired. That's been one of those pairings that has been rumored is, could you get Saleh as the head coach? And if McDaniel gets fired by the Dolphins, maybe he's your offensive coordinator. Now that pairing is officially available. The more this process goes on, the less I think it's going to be Matt Nagy.
Really?
I understand the idea of, hey, Borgonzi and him are friends. I think that Nagy has earned himself at least the chance to interview for head coaching jobs again. He did fine with the Bears. It didn't end well, and I know Bears fans have texted into us and say you don't want Nagy. I think the most likely scenario, Titans hire a first-time head coach who's a defensive coordinator right now. So that would be your Shula, Hafley, Minter, somebody of that nature. And Nagy is suggested as the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure Nagy, I know he said if he's a head coach again, he won't call plays, but there is a higher demand for offensive head coaches who do call plays. And he's not right now in Kansas City. So I wonder if maybe he wants that step up. He's got the familiarity with Borgonzi. I think maybe it is a first-time defensive head coach who comes in. I would lean Jeff Hafley right now if I had to choose.
Really?
And then I think Matt Nagy is maybe not forced in as the offensive coordinator. I think they tell Hafley, hey, the coaching staff is your decision. But Matt Nagy is a guy that I would push for as an option for you to add some experience to this staff.
I agree and disagree with you on some level. I think the longer this goes on, the more likely it is that Matt Nagy is going to be involved in some point. Yes, I agree that he may be referred to as an offensive coordinator. And in fact, I would prefer that. I'd probably prefer a defensive head coach come in and then bring in a coordinator that you feel comfortable with developing the quarterback. That's probably the route I would go. But I feel like the longer this goes on, it just means that they're not finding the guy that they think fits their needs. And I think Borgonzi looks at Matt Nagy and says, that's a guy that I know I can trust, and that's a guy that I know is capable of doing what we need him to do. So I think the longer this goes on, the more they start to realize Matt Nagy might be the answer to be involved in our staff somehow.
I think we're getting close to the end of interview watch. I think most of the names are in. There might be a couple other stragglers in there, but I think the list that we have now is, I think the Titans head coach is on there. Of the list that you've seen of interviews, one of those guys is going to be the Titans head coach. They've just got to sort through all the junk. And, you know, some of the guys they've interviewed this week, I don't think are legitimate contenders. Lou Anarumo, Steve Spagnuolo, Jason Garrett today. Although we will get into this later. TD did make some good points about Jason Garrett. We can talk about that. But I think those guys are more fact-finding missions. I think next week is where you're really going to see the meat and potatoes of this search, of the guys who are actually legitimate candidates for this team. And it makes sense. Those are the guys who are still coaching, right?
Yeah.
Like the good coaches usually are.
That's why Harbaugh's waiting a week.
Yes, and we will talk about Harbaugh coming up next. But first, let's go to our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Dustin from Hopkinsville is called in. Dustin, thanks for calling. Good morning.
Good morning, fellas. So I've been hearing people talk about Saleh and McDaniels as a hiring pair. And has nobody thought about that, like on the field, like that goofy little nerd and that man of men among men? Like, don't you think at some point by the preseason that Big Jeff and Saleh have put him in the dang locker room trash can?
Don't you need a little bit of both, though, Dustin? Yeah, you need the brute strength. You need the football guy, but you also need a little bit of nerd on your coaching staff. That's what you see around the NFL now.
Absolutely, but like, I don't know, man. Looks like he smoked a pound of weed every time he comes out there on the field the way he talks. And, I guess you have to endure some after the game conferences. But, also I wanted to say, man, hiring your friends, like we see what happened when Vrabel, it's not a good recipe. It works out sometimes, but more times than not, like moving in with the family, hiring friends, it's just a recipe. It's bound to go bad. And when it does go bad, like it opens the door. Like, if it is bad, the fans are going to say what they're going to say. Don't get me wrong. But I just think Borgonzi I don't think it's going to be Nagy either. And if anything, I could see Amy stepping in. She loves the mic. Just go ahead and hire the Mike Mix, Mike McCarthy, and Mike McDaniel. Just a goofy thought of mine, just how this organization is. And while we feel like this job is attractive, Tim Ward, these young guys, like, what is this organization shown that they're attractive? I mean, they go to winning with Mike Vrabel, and then they just implode. And they traded off A.J. Brown, got rid of Derrick Henry, which I get a lot of people thought he was done, but I didn't. And Kevin Byard, like, ran attractive Brian Callahan. Like, I don't know. Everybody talks about us. I think we're the armpit, and Cleveland's right there living in between the seats.
Thank you for the call, Dustin. Yeah, I look at the Titans, and there's been a whole lot of bad decisions lately. I think they're trying to fix that. I think that's a large reason why Mike Borgonzi was hired and is being put in charge of this hire. I don't think he's just going to hire his buddy just to hire his buddy. We've said this all week.
No.
Mike Borgonzi knows his job is on the line with this hire. If he gets this wrong and this quarterback can't turn things around, he can't develop Cam Ward, Mike Borgonzi is getting fired too. So he's not going to just be like, I really like Matt. Matt's a good guy. Yeah. Let's give him a head coaching job.
No, this isn't a Mike Vrabel situation where I'm going to hire Todd Downing because he's my friend.
Right, and I won't fire him.
Right. No, I'm saying I think from a philosophical perspective, I think Mike Borgonzi looks at Matt Nagy as someone he can trust. Not just, he's my buddy, I'm going to hire him. I think he knows he's familiar with what Matt Nagy is capable of. He thinks he deserves another chance, and I think just the familiarity and not necessarily he's my friend, but I know what you're capable of, and I know what you're going to do with our quarterback. I think that's what leads me to believe that's what's going to happen.
I think Nagy is a candidate for sure, and he's getting other interviews. It's not like he's the only guy.
The Ravens requested yesterday.
Right. It's not like the Titans are the only ones who are interviewing Matt Nagy. He's getting other interest elsewhere. I think he is a candidate, but the narrative is going to be if he hires Nagy, he just hired his friend. I think if Borgonzi hires Nagy, it means he was head and shoulders the candidate that they wanted. Because Borgonzi knows that beyond a shadow of a doubt, Matt Nagy has to prove he's the guy because of the blowback that's going to happen if he does hire him.
Yeah, it's on the line.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. We see your texts. We'll get to some of those up next. And also a conversation about John Harbaugh, because I know people are still thinking about him. The sentiment that we've heard is Harbaugh's not coming here. But he is taking a week off before he starts interviewing. We'll see if he ends up getting an interview here. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game, finishing up hour number 2. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly with you. Talking Titans head coaching search. They are casting a very wide net. More interview requests coming in this morning. Chris Shula, the DC for the Rams, and Jesse Minter, the DC for the Chargers, both getting interview slips. Also, came out last night, the Titans will interview Mike McCarthy. I know there was a little bit of confusion over whether he would get an interview. I think people are taking what Paul said on Robbie Rexford on Wednesday completely out of context. I saw all the tweets last night saying, I thought him and Brinker hated each other. It's like, that's not what Paul said. Paul said that as of right now, he didn't think that the relationship with Brinker was enough that they would want to hire him because of that, right? Like, that's basically what he says is like, the relationship isn't a reason that they're going to bring him in. That didn't mean the Titans were not going to interview him in the first place.
Yeah, and look at the field of people they're interviewing. They're covering all their bases, and I think it was wildly expected that Mike McCarthy would be a candidate because he's going to be a candidate across the league. So why would the Titans not get involved in that?
I like Mike McCarthy, and we've talked about it this week with the John Harbaugh stuff of if you look at their stats, like just the black and white, what they've done as a head coach in the NFL, they're almost identical.
Yeah.
Like one Super Bowl, Harbaugh's one more playoff win, and 6 more overall wins. Outside of that, it's almost identical.
I think that's the safest hire that they could make.
I agree.
I think it's not a hire that's going to get you to the highest ceiling possible. I think it's a hire to get you, surface level. You're going to be sustainable with him. That's just a hire to get you to the next guy. But I think it is the safest hire they could make.
Right. I mean, he's not going to be your head coach for 20 years, right? Like, It's Mike McCarthy is 62. So you're right. He's probably a 5-ish year guy, but he's going to raise the floor for this team. And he went 12-5, 3 straight years in Dallas. I would have no problem with McCarthy. And I still say me and Nick Frazier have on Tuesdays kind of been going through your top 3 candidates. Like if you could only interview 3 guys, your finalists for the job, who would they be? I've moved them around a little bit. I would go Stefanski, McCarthy, Hafley. Those would be my 3 right now.
Okay. I got to think about this. I'd go Saleh because I've been hammering him. And a lot of people are like, why Saleh? He was terrible with the Jets. Look at the franchise. I mean, he dealt with a lot in New York. He dealt with horrible ownership, horrible general manager who got fired, a quarterback who thought he was the coach and
then got hurt.
I think Robert Saleh was trusted with a lot that quite frankly was unfair. It was kind of like ownership told Robert Saleh, you are going to take Aaron Rodgers and you are going to make us a playoff contender.
Yeah.
And of course, Aaron Rodgers gets hurt 3 plays into his Jets career. So he was entrusted with a lot. And then quite frankly, Aaron Rodgers is toxic. So Robert Saleh would be my one. I think I would agree with you. Stefanski would probably be on there as well. I'm trying to think offensively. I really like Jeff Hafley, but I know he's a defensive guy.
They haven't requested a whole lot of OC guys.
It makes me think they're going to go defensive, which is fine.
Nagy, McCarthy, Stefanski, are those the only offensive interviews that they have?
Yeah, I guess I would put McCarthy in there.
I really like McCarthy. I do. I don't think he ends up being the guy at this point, but I do like McCarthy. Harbaugh is being brought up a lot, and I know people on the text line, like, that's the home run hire. And as much as I will say that McCarthy and Harbaugh are not as far apart as people may say, Harbaugh did it more consistently.
Yeah.
And I think him being a little bit more connected to the league right now, McCarthy just took another year off, his second time taking a year off. Harbaugh's a better hire than McCarthy, for sure.
Yeah.
He's not going to come here, though.
No.
I don't know if you saw Jackson Dart, the lip reading on the sideline yesterday.
And he was dressed like a frat guy.
Yeah. Who's going to be the next head coach? I don't know. Harbaugh or Stefanski, but I don't know. So that's kind of where the Giants are. And that makes sense for them. One of those 2 guys. I think the Titans, there are so many options. If I had to guess, I think it's going to be one of the young defensive guys at this point. Nagy's a good candidate. I still think he's up there. Although, again, the further we get into this, the less I think it's going to be Nagy. It could be McCarthy. It could be Stefanski. We're really not going to know. Probably end of next week, early the week after is when I think we'll start to get at least zoomed in a little bit on a pool of candidates that are actual finalists for this job.
I think Harbaugh's waiting on one of two teams, and that may or may not open up next week.
Packers, Bills?
Yes. And I asked Charles Robinson about that yesterday, and both of them make sense, which leads me to believe, and it's not going to happen, but if one of those two gets fired, LaFleur or McDermott, where does that put them on the list of candidates for here? I've talked to TD about this, and he loves Matt LaFleur. Like, he would sell his soul for Matt LaFleur to be the coach.
LaFleur or McDermott, if they came free, would be at least people I'd want the Titans to speak to, right? Like, McDermott, I understand the playoff record has not been great, especially on the road, but he's still a guy who has built that Bills team into a consistent Super Bowl contender. They've been close. They just haven't been able to get over the hump. We'll see what they can do this year with no Mahomes, no Burrow, no Jackson.
Do I have time to address this? I know we're up against the wall.
Go ahead.
Weston Hermitage is asking me my line of thinking behind Saleh, given what we know about the Jets organization and the Titans. And that's a fair question.
We get that a lot of if he failed with the Jets organization, what about the Titans organization makes you think it'll be any better?
The Titans have a quarterback. The Jets did not. Aaron Rodgers got hurt 3 plays in, and guess who he was stuck with? Zach freaking Wilson. Where is Zach Wilson right now? He's about probably the 3rd guy off the bench in Miami.
Yep.
So that's part of it. I think ownership there is a I know this is saying a lot, but I think they're worse than Amy Adams-Strunk. I think leadership there needed a full culture shock. They wanted to just integrate the entire Packers team into the Jets and let Robert Saleh run the thing. That's just not how you do it. You got to have some homegrown talent in there, and I don't think they did. Quite honestly, this is going to sound weird, but I think the Titans are a better situation than the Jets were.
I mean, just in general, it's hard to be a worse situation than the Jets, right? Like, I know Amy has had her flaws the last few years, but the Titans were a pretty consistent winner for half a decade.
I mean, look at the Jets' track record as far as quarterbacks that have hit. Zach Wilson, bust. Sam Darnold, busted for them. He's come on now.
Well, they gave up on him to take Zach Wilson.
Yeah, in the right situation. Mark Sanchez, bust.
He went to 2 AFC championships.
Yeah, but that's the last time they had a relevant
That is the last time they went to the playoffs.
So who else was better? Mike Glennon? Is that who they ran out there?
They've had some fun starting quarterbacks out there.
Yeah.
615-737-1025.
I didn't hear you.
Got a lot of neck, man.
Glennon. Yeah.
Frank Caliendo.
Yep.
Yeah.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. We got a text here from Robert. And the question is, if you don't think that I think he's referring to McCarthy, can get into a Super Bowl and win, then you don't hire him. You hire the one that can win the Super Bowl. Let's talk about that coming up next, because I understand the thought process, but it's easier said than done. 615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly, next man up here on 1025 The Game. Final hour on this Friday. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Fun show so far. Had Max Herz on for the first hour, talking Preds, talked the college football playoff. Big one coming up tonight. Miami has already punched their ticket to the national championship game. Indiana and Oregon tonight. You can listen in right here on 102.5 The Game. But we're into the Titans coaching search, and we were going through the candidates. The Titans have spread out. They've got minimum 15 interviews that have been scheduled. I've kind of lost count at this point. They requested Chris Shula from the Rams and Jesse Minter from the Chargers this morning. I did forget to mention Arthur Smith. He is another one of the offensive guys that the Titans have requested.
Yeah, that's one.
But this text from Robert on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We were talking about Mike McCarthy, and he says, if you don't think he can get into a Super Bowl and win, then you don't hire him. You hire the one that can win the Super Bowl. And I understand that sentiment, and I agree with you. If you come out of an interview and say, yeah, that guy went to a Super Bowl in 2009, he's never going back, then yeah, you don't hire him. If you truly believe he can't win the Super Bowl, you don't hire him. But that also can't be how you're framing these interviews of, is he going to win a Super Bowl? Because it's so rare to find a head coach who does win a Super Bowl. And it's not all about the coach.
Yep.
Too.
It's about exactly where I was going.
You need players too. With Mike McCarthy, you know that you're going to get this team back to respectability. He has a proven track record. He's won more than 60% of his games as an NFL head coach. You believe that at the very least, he is going to pull this team back up to being competitive. And that's where you have to start. The NFL is built for parity, and you just never know what's going to happen in a given season. Look at the Jaguars this year. Did you think when the Jaguars hired Liam Cohen that guy is going to turn things around from 4 wins to 13 wins in one season?
No, it's baby steps.
Right.
We're going to see if this guy can help develop our quarterback we just paid and spent the first round pick on, or our first overall pick on.
Right. It's with this hire, I think you need to be able to find a head coach who is going to get this team out of the cellar of the NFL.
Yeah.
They have been horrible for 3 calendar years. You need to find a way to get this team back to being a team that when they play a team, you think they can win no matter who it is. Because that's what the NFL is supposed to be about. Any given Sunday.
Yeah.
The Titans are not that good of a team right now where you can put the ball down and they can go beat anybody because they are a legit NFL team. Mike McCarthy can get you back there. And guess what? If you're 5 years down the road and this team ends up as a team that is consistently coming up short in the playoffs, like Mike McCarthy was in Dallas, right? That's why he was let go. He was getting them to the playoffs. He could not advance them. And I understand the concerns with Mike McCarthy about that. But let's get there when we get there. Let's cross that bridge when we come to it. If Mike McCarthy comes in and gets you back to being a playoff caliber team and he can't get you over the hump, then maybe, yeah, you say, all right, our standards are higher now. We need to go find somebody who can get us to the promised land. But right now, you've gone 3-14 back-to-back years. Hiring somebody who is going to get you back to being respectable, I think that needs to be one of the biggest priorities of someone with a proven track record that you believe is going to come in and raise the floor for this team.
Here's what I think they're doing. I think they're taking instances that are currently going on and thinking, why can't that be us? For instance, the New England Patriots. They hired Mike Vrabel, and instantly they're Super Bowl contenders. It's not on the coach, 100%. It's not 100% on the players. It's a collective group, and I'm going to use the C word, collaboration.
There you go.
That the front office and the coach are on the same page to bring in the right guys. And quite frankly, I think there's a lot more things that hinge on the Patriots being what they are. They played a crap schedule, so that helps. But it's not, in terms of the Titans, that's not what's going to happen here. They're in a way deeper and darker place than the Patriots were last year. And look, I think $100 million in cap space and having a 4th overall pick is going to help you a little bit, but it's not going to turn it from 0 to 100 just like that. Maybe it'll get you back to playoff relevancy, that's what you want. and I think that's what you can get when you hire Mike McCarthy. But you're not going to be, oh my God, we hired a guy, we're going to the Super Bowl. That's not how this works.
And it's funny because I know a lot of Titans fans out there like, man, we should have never fired Vrabel because you didn't know what you had till it's gone.
And I agree.
But Vrabel was
he deserved to.
No, but I'm saying like Vrabel was the guy that couldn't get you over the hump. You can blame Tannehill all you want for the Bengals game, but like Vrabel got you close. He couldn't get you there to the Super Bowl.
Right.
That's why, yes, the way he finished as a coach, 6-18 in his last 24 is a big reason why he was fired.
That's the reason.
But if he had gotten you to a Super Bowl in 2019 or 2021, he would have had the leash because he had proven he can get there. The Titans got to a point where their standards were high enough that they felt like they could do better, and they botched the hire. It happens.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. You feel like, hey, he's not the guy to get us where we needed to. We're going to go find somebody better. And the grass isn't always greener. But for the Titans right now, you've got to find somebody who can just get you back to being middle of the pack at the minimum and being in the hunt for a playoff spot. And if you get to the point where your expectations are higher, like the Ravens got to a point, their expectations are a Super Bowl. The Bills, their expectations are a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not getting there consistently, if you are falling short year after year, you're going to get fired. But for Mike Borgonzi with a young quarterback, you can't expect whoever comes in to immediately be the guy who can get you to a Super Bowl. You've got to go just find a guy who is going to be able to set a culture in this locker room, get you back to being a playoff caliber team. And if you get to the point where he's coming up short of the eventual goal of a Super Bowl, then you fire.
Let's take this back. What happened at this station in June? Remember, right when training camp started, the introductory press conference with Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker. Big Joe went to them and asked them, is this team capable of winning a Super Bowl? And they laughed it off. And they said, no, we know we are what we are.
They didn't say no.
They said no without saying no.
Yes.
But that just tells you they're self-aware of where this franchise is. And I believe that they still believe that. So they're going to look for a coach that they think can get them back to sustainability. And that's the key here. They're not looking for the home run. Well, they are, but they're not looking for the guy that's going to go, we're going to take this team to the Super Bowl, or you can just fire me right now. That's not how this works. They're looking for someone that can get them right at surface level, and then they can grow upon that. It's baby steps. That's what it is.
I think you can look at the candidates and see what the Titans are prioritizing. Experience.
Yep.
There are first-time head coaches that they have requested to interview. We saw two more this morning. Shula, Minter, Hafley was a coach in college, but
never been an NFL coach.
It's almost exclusively retreads or guys who have been doing it for a long time. Like Lou Anarumo has never been a head coach, but he's an experienced guy. He's not going to be the head coach.
No.
But pretty much everybody else has been a head coach before. McCarthy, Smith, Saleh, Nagy. Like, it's up and down that list. It's head coaching experience. You can tell that that is an important thing for the Titans in this search.
Which is good, because right when Callahan was fired, that's what we said. They need to hire someone with experience that knows how to get a team back to surface level.
615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to text or call. Steve on the text line says, given the shoulder injury to our quarterback, I fear we are going to have basically a repeat of 2025. He's not going to be able to develop as he would otherwise. Well, Steve, the good news is at least that it's not going to be a long-term recovery for Cam Ward. No surgery.
You know what I noticed about Cam Ward last night? He was not in a sling.
He was not, which is good. And talking to TD yesterday, we were kind of just beating around the bush a little bit of, if it was a grade 3 sprain, he would have gotten surgery. And TD was kind of like, yeah. So they said no surgery, 6-week recovery. He should be a full go for all the offseason activities, which is important.
He'll be good.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. The Titans are conducting an interview today that is, we'll call it unpopular around the fan base, with Jason Garrett. And I wanted to talk about that a little bit and, have a little fun with it. I want to ask the question to you guys. If you could have one question to Jason Garrett in the interview today, what would it be? Like, what are you asking Jason Garrett?
Don't give me that power.
Because
you know what I'm going to do.
I
have fun on TV next year, Jason.
Jason Garrett, he was a coach in Dallas for 10 years. So it is a guy with experience. He's gone to the playoffs. He hasn't won in the playoffs, but he's gone to the playoffs. But what are you asking? Like, what do you want to know about Jason Garrett? And this can be wrong answers if you want to as well. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly. Next man up, 1025 the game. Next man up, 1025 the game. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly. This is a good one for Connor.
This is a locker room favorite.
Yeah, Sean
back
Kingston.
in high school.
Yeah, this was a good one back in the day. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly. Next man up, 1025 the game. Talking Titans head coaching search. As I would guess most of the interviews are in. Some have already been conducted. And one today, Jason Garrett, interviewing for the Titans head coaching job. Former Cowboys coach, current analyst for NBC Sports. And TD made some good points yesterday about the type of offense that Jason Garrett runs and how maybe that could play with the verticality that Cam Ward likes to play with. I don't think he's the coach. I won't call it a courtesy interview. I think it's more of a fact-finding interview. I think that Mike Borgonzi thinks that he can learn something from it. I don't know what, but I don't think Jason Garrett is a serious candidate for the Titans job. But I asked the question, like, what would you ask Jason Garrett? Like, I think for other candidates, they're easy questions that you can think of, right? Based on what they've done. But like Jason Garrett's been out of the league for a couple of years.
He hasn't coached since before COVID.
It was kind of I want to say like a boring tenure in Dallas. Like there were some years they were pretty good, but for the most part, they were never all that competitive. They never made it to an NFC championship game. So I want to know what would you guys ask Jason Garrett? And Steven from Clarksville took the words right out of my mouth. Did Dez catch it? That was my first thought.
The answer? No.
I think he did.
Really?
Yeah. That one was, I mean, it's tough. Keegan with a funny one. The very first question I would ask as soon as you walk through the door is, can you close that door on your way out? Hair Metal Henry, what color crayon did Jerry Jones use to draw out his draft board?
I was gonna do a Jerry one.
Here's a good one. Here's how did Jerry get his steak cooked? Blue rare, medium well. I thought that was saying basically Jason cooked for him and was just kind of a janitor. 3217, I would ask Jason, does Chris Sims' voice really sound like a squeaky toy when he gets excited live versus what we see on TV? Yeah, Jason Garrett, that was the strangest interview request the Titans have made.
For sure. I mean, I would ask him, what room on Jerry's yacht is your favorite?
Yeah, that's a good
something
one.
Like that.
That's a good one.
On a realistic level, though, I would genuinely ask him, what do you think of our quarterback? How could you help Cam Ward develop? Because, look, Jason Garrett's an offensive guy, right? He's worked with decent quarterbacks, Tony Romo, Dak Prescott.
Yep.
He's worked with guys that are capable or were capable of being good quarterbacks in this league. So I'm curious what he thinks of Cam Ward. How would he actually make him effective and develop him? But I'm with you. I'm with everyone. This is not a good hire.
And I said it yesterday with TD. The timing of it was unfortunate because John Harbaugh had just been fired and everybody's going crazy and it's, can we get John Harbaugh here? And the Titans have requested to interview Jason Garrett. And Jason Garrett was not a bad coach at the NFL level.
But he wasn't good.
He wasn't good either. I mean, you don't make it 10 years coaching for Jerry Jones unless you're at least doing something right. But I also, that would be the most disappointing hire if the Titans made it.
I've told you, Parker and I are hitting the transfer portal if he's hired. We're going to Chicago.
Yeah.
And I'm a heavy disbeliever in the transfer portal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I will never actually. I made the joke of like, if Mike McCoy got the full-time job, I would stop being a Titans fan. It could never happen, but that would bring me pretty close. Mike in Lebanon kind of wraps up the whole talk on the Titans head coaching search with one point. One thing is certain, Titans fans won't be happy. I do not think, outside of John Harbaugh, I don't think there is a hire out there that will get universal praise from the coach, from the fan base.
Right.
And I think that might be a good thing. Brian Callahan was almost universally liked as a hire. Not saying that that means that somebody who's a quote unquote good hire when he makes his introductory press conference isn't actually going to end up being a good coach. There isn't a perfect candidate out there on the market. The Titans have to be able to go out and find a guy that they believe in, that they're convicted on. And I know that there is all the questions of how are they going to sell this coach? And I've said it too. Like, I don't think you could sell Jason Garrett as a good hire.
Right.
But Mike Borgonzi's got to do what he believes in. And Matt Nagy is the one that I think would get the most blowback if he hired him, of you just hired your friend. But I want Mike Borgonzi, who I think the Titans fan base is coming to trust based on the decisions that he's made, the way he speaks. I want him to do what he feels best in and not worry about the blowback. If it ends up being a bad hire, then Amy Adams Strunk will come with the justice of firing him.
Yeah.
But he's got to do what he believes in, no matter what the fan base is going to respond with.
Yeah, you got to do what you think is best for this franchise. And if you think that's Matt Nagy, then I think you should do it. If you think that's Robert Saleh, I think you should do it. If you think that's Jason Garrett, I don't think you should do it because I think that would be horrible. But
there's just no chance. There is no chance they hire Jason.
He won't
Garrett.
get another interview.
No. next week's going to be really interesting because I think you could see some jobs start to get filled. I think the Giants are going to work pretty quickly. If they're legitimately, like Jackson Dart was saying on TV yesterday, if it is legitimately Harbaugh Stefanski, you probably got to move quick on those guys.
Which I think both are good fits for them.
I agree. I think that's what they need. Joe Shane, I think, is on his way out. So I think you're looking for somebody who can be the head of your football operation when you make this hire.
Yeah.
And Harbaugh and Stefanski both would kind of make sense there. So I think they could move quick. The Dolphins did just hire a GM. Maybe they move pretty quickly too. I've seen some ties made between Sullivan, their new GM, and Hafley, who is a prime candidate out of the Packers. So I think the Titans are going to take their time on this thing. But I also could see if there is a guy that they talk with, maybe it's Stefanski this weekend. They're talking with him tomorrow. If they talk with Stefanski and are sold, that is a guy that you kind of have to move quickly because I think he is going to be pretty widely sought after by the other 7 jobs out there on the market outside of Cleveland, of course.
Yeah, I mean, he's a respected head coach. He took Cleveland to a playoff game and won in Pittsburgh. You can look at all the bad things he did. Like I heard TD talking about the Shedeur Sanders situation, which I don't necessarily agree with him on that level. I think Shedeur is quite honestly overblown, but that's okay. But a lot of people are like, he ruined Baker Mayfield, and maybe that's true, but he did a lot of good things. I mean, he helped draft Myles Garrett, who is the best player in defense in the world right now. So
we'll say that one probably pretty easy.
Yeah, that is pretty easy.
Was he there for Garrett?
I think so, because that was 17?
When was Freddie Kitchens for there?
That was
because he was
Deshaun
after Hugh
Kaiser,
Jackson.
Yeah,
I don't know. 8576 says, what about Garrett as an offensive staff member? Y'all say some interviews are for staff, but don't mention Garrett as a staff hire. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he would be a prime offensive coordinator kind of guy.
Well, remember when he got fired by Dallas, he went to New York and was the offensive coordinator there, and he was terrible.
I don't really see that. Like some of these guys, you see them interviewing, it's pretty clear that they're not like Raheem Morris. I really doubt is going to get another head coaching job, but I understand the Titans might want to look at him as a DC.
I would like him as a DC.
Garrett doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Wes in Clarksville says, wonder if Borgonzi liked Callie or wanted him gone when Borgonzi got here. I did think about this yesterday when McDaniel got fired, of the idea of letting the GM choose whether or not to keep a coach. I do wonder if Borgonzi was given that option. I don't think he was.
No. Well, do you remember that article that came out? I think it was in like September or maybe early October that came out. It was about how Brian Callahan has to win, otherwise he's on the hot seat, because they were debating bringing him back for another season anyway.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I don't think Borgonzi was given an opportunity. I think it was Amy and Brinker saying, all right, we'll give him one more shot. And then,
based off of the reporting from Callahan being fired, everything has kind of been Amy's decision at this point. Yeah. I think Brinker and Borgonzi were blindsided by that.
But she's at her house. Brinker's representing her.
Justin from Greenbrier says, how crazy would it be if the next coach ends up hiring many of these candidates? What if that's the reason there were so many all along and not just casting the wide net for posterity's sake? I think it's very possible. Like I've seen people putting out there, what if the Titans went like Stefanski, Nagy, Morris as your triumvirate of former head coaches as your head coach and coordinators? It could happen. But I do think whoever they hire, they're going to give him the option to come up with his coaching staff. There might be suggestions of like, hey, we really like Nagy as an offensive coordinator. If you don't have a guy in mind, or if maybe your top option doesn't want to come.
Yeah.
That's what happened with Vrabel and LaFleur. You remember who Mike Vrabel wanted as his first choice as offensive coordinator?
Oh, don't tell me. I'm going to get this. It wasn't Matt LaFleur, because
LaFleur was
interviewing for head coach.
Yes.
I'm going to feel really dumb when I don't get this. It was someone horrible, right?
No, a current college football head coach.
Oh, it was Ryan Day.
It was Ryan Day. It was Ryan Day. Mike Vrabel wanted to hire Ryan Day.
I do remember that.
I think he knew that he was the head coach in waiting behind Urban Meyer at that point. 8547. We'll finish up the conversation on this text. He says, I know this is living in the past, but when we talk about a universally accepted hire, it seems noteworthy that we are in this situation because we made a nearly universally unaccepted fire in Vrabel. Most fans that I know really liked him at the head coaching position. I would argue that the current candidate pool still doesn't reach the caliber of what we had. I agree with that. But Vrabel was not a universally unaccepted fire.
It's a nationally unaccepted fire because the national media doesn't understand what goes on here locally.
We can do revisionist history, but I seem to remember most Titans fans were okay with firing Vrabel. Maybe didn't love the Titans did it, but I don't think anybody was ready to burn down St. Thomas Sports Park because they fired Vrabel.
That's what these national people do. And no disrespect to them, but like, I'll use Charles as an example. Charles comes on here sometimes and he's like, I still don't understand why they fired Vrabel. He's such a great coach. I'm like, that's because you don't understand what goes on here.
And looking back, it seems like it was a knee-jerk reaction. Yeah. And fans will look back and say, yeah, we probably shouldn't have fired him. And I think everybody realizes it was the wrong choice. But in the moment, Titans fans in general, I don't think we're all that upset that the Titans fired Mike Vrabel.
We understood it.
Right. I think people got why it happened, even though looking back, yeah, it was probably the wrong move. I will say, though, Vrabel was not a guy that everybody loved when they hired him, too.
Right.
Like, he was not a great defensive coordinator with the Texans.
Well, a lot of people wanted Malarkey because
Malarkey got fired.
Yeah.
People wanted to keep him. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, they'd won a playoff game for the first time in 15 years. But I look at it with, the fan base is not going to be happy. I think Mike and Lebanon said it perfectly. Like, the Titans fan base is probably not going to be thrilled with whoever they hire. But I don't remember the Titans fan base being thrilled when they hired Vrabel. So let's just see how it all plays out and trust that Borgonzi is going to hire the right guy.
Did you see this YouTube comment? Someone said, no offense, but I think Jake and Connor could have went 10-7 with Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, and the Ravens roster last year.
That's fair. Yeah, that is true.
Well, that would have been better than what they did this year. So
615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you want to text or call, it is 11:30 on a Friday, and we will do our Monday headlines coming up next. What do we think is going to happen in the wild card playoffs in the NFL, as well as college football playoff semifinal number 2 tonight? We'll talk about it coming up next. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. There's your Bruno Mars, Connor.
One of my least favorite songs of his ever. But that's okay.
Drugs are not good for you, Connor.
I don't do drugs. I'm straight edge. I don't drink. I don't smoke. That's how it is.
Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly with you. A couple more segments on this Friday. Chase and Big Joe are coming up at the top of the hour. It is 11:30. Let's do some Monday headlines. What's going to happen over the weekend? No more Titans games, so we've got to mix it up a little bit. We do have a college football playoff semifinal tonight. The winner between Indiana and Oregon gets Miami. We'll also do a Monday headline for the NFL playoffs this weekend. Wild card weekend starts tomorrow. Do you have one for the playoff? Both you guys wearing Ducks gear today. What's going to happen tonight?
I think Indiana's going to get it done. I just do. I can't stop picking, or I can, but I can't pick against them right now. I'm done doubting Kurt Signetti. I think it's going to be close. I really do. I think it's going to be relatively high scoring too. Give me Indiana 45-42.
Oh, wow. Okay, you're going big. I'm going to go not opposite of you, but I'm going to say this is a very low scoring game.
Really?
I think the defenses win the day. We just saw Oregon shut out Texas Tech. I know Indiana is a higher power offense than the Red Raiders. Indiana shut down Ohio State back in the Big Ten Championship, shut down Alabama. I'm going with the defenses tonight. I'm going to go 14-13 Indiana.
It's worth noting we're both pretty bad at this. So
we are. That is why
knowing us, there's going to be a happy medium where it's like 27-24.
This is why most of the time we never bring up what happened last week on Monday headlines.
Yeah.
On Monday, we don't really talk about them. I did have the one mid-season where I picked Texas Tech and Miami to lose to unranked opponents, to Louisville and Arizona State.
It's like
I got that one right.
It's like a parlay, though. Like if you hit one, that's great. But if you don't hit the other one, you can't talk about it.
Right. So I'm going to go with a low scoring game today. 14-13 Indiana beats Oregon. Parker, what you got for tonight?
I guess I'm going to have to play the middleman because it's not going to be a shootout like Connor thinks. And I do not think it's going to be that low scoring. I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle. I could see it being 24-21, 24-20. And as much as it pains me to say, somebody does have to win this game. And I'm going with Indiana. But the key for Oregon is going to be convert on third down so they don't have to go for it 8 times on fourth down like they did versus Texas Tech. Also can't settle for field goals as well.
Yeah.
So Dante Moore is going to have his best game.
You guys both wearing Oregon gear today and picking Indiana.
Look, I'm not an Oregon fan.
It's the Kurt Signetti effect.
We've cursed the graphic. That's good.
I'm done doubting Signetti.
Right. Well, I think that's where we are at this point is like, we're going to look stupid if we pick against Signetti. So
this is such a side note. How come every time I look up at Rich Eisen's show, it's some non-sports related guest?
Yeah, he's got Ashton Kutcher on.
Like it's never.
He's a Bears fan. He's talking about the Bears.
No, he's not. He's talking about his show. Whatever show he has coming.
Well, he has Bears hat on.
I think it's because he's with Disney now, and they've got to like plug these shows and stuff that they're running on there. Because I know he had Jake Lacey on there. He was Pete from the final season of The Office.
Oh,
you remember him? He was in The White Lotus season 1, and he was just in the show All Her Fault on. I think it's on Disney Plus. Might be Peacock, something like that. It's very good. I just watched it last week.
I'm so behind on show. My show right now, I'm going to start watching probably today. Landman. That's my show.
Okay. I've heard that it's fallen off lately.
Really?
New season of The Traitors came out last night. I don't know if you're into reality TV.
Not really.
I don't watch a ton. Like I used to watch Survivor and Big Brother when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I don't watch as much anymore, but The Traitors is pretty good.
I've never seen it.
It's solid. It's murder mystery type thing. Anyway, let's go to the NFL playoffs. Wild card weekend, got 6 games coming up Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Any big headlines coming out of the weekend, Connor?
I just feel good about this Preds team right now.
Okay, so you're going NHL.
I think they're going to beat the Blackhawks by a hefty margin, actually. I'll say 5-2 Preds.
I did just get a text from Max Herz that apparently Connor Bedard is on track to play tomorrow night. Possible.
Still.
Okay, so you're still going Preds by 3.
I don't think this Blackhawks team is very good. I mean, I understand the injuries that have fallen upon them, but they've fallen off the edge. They had a really bad December. So I think this Preds team is playing excellent hockey right now. The veterans are playing the right way. The young guys are playing the right way. I think they dominate Chicago on Saturday.
All right. So you're going with the Preds winning tomorrow night. I'm going to go to the NFL playoffs.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was this supposed to be NFL playoff specific?
No, it's okay. We could have gone beyond. I just kind of figured we'd go playoffs, but it's okay.
I can do a playoff one if you want.
Whatever you want.
I think the Bears dominate the Packers.
Okay, so you're going big for the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
I did hear Robbie and Rexroad when they did Pigskin Pick'em. All three of them picked the Packers.
Well, I think there's too much injuries on the Packers. I don't know if Jordan Love is playing. He's playing, but I don't know if he's fully healthy. So give me Chicago.
I'm gonna do this, and maybe I'm a hater. I think Mike Vrabel goes one and done in the playoffs again. Give me the Chargers on the road.
I could see it. I could so see it.
I don't feel great about it, but first time that Drake May is playing in a playoff game, Mike Vrabel in the playoffs. Yeah, I know he won the 2 games in 2019, but first round loss against the Ravens. I'm not going to, I said it earlier, like Tannehill obviously deserves a lot of blame for the game against the Bengals, but I'm going to say they lose at home against the Chargers and LA moves on. Parker, what you got?
I'm going to decide to go a different route from Connor because I know our dying, adoring fans are just waiting anxiously to hear me talk about hockey. So I'm going to go to something I don't know quite as well, and that's football. The the pigskin that they throw across the field. So the playoffs are happening this weekend, and as some of our listeners know, I have a lot of family in Chicago. My wife is a native Chicagoan, and they have a big rivalry game against the Packers at home, Soldier Field. Lots of friends are going to be there. And after the game, Robbie Stanley and Corey Curtis, they made a bet, right? And
I've heard about this.
Yeah, so I heard about that bet as well, and I'm going to dedicate this segment to Robbie Stanley because he's going to be hearing a lot of this.
For Chicago Bears.
Get out the nail polish, Robbie.
What does he have to write on his nails?
I don't know. Go Bears, maybe?
Bear down.
Something about Utah?
I think bear down would work. It'd be 4-4,
Yeah, there you go. I like that.
C-O.
I think that'll be up to Corey Curtis, though.
E-Y.
Oh, yeah. Corey something?
U-R-T.
Corey wins.
Yeah. Exclamation point. 2 exclamation points.
I like it. All right. So you guys are both going with the Bears.
The Bales.
There's gonna be some great games this weekend.
That's where we're headed in the transfer portal if Jason Garrett's hired.
We got Bears, Packers. We got Chargers, Patriots, Bills, Jags, 49ers, Eagles.
That's the best one. Texans,
Steelers could be okay.
That's a team I think goes 1 and done.
The Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
Texans might be a Super Bowl contender.
I agree.
The way they're playing right now,
100%.
Panthers, Rams. That's the one that probably isn't going to be great, but we'll see. We will see.
You never know.
Those are our Monday headlines. A couple from the text line, or actually just one here from Justin from Greenbrier. He says the Preds sweep the back-to-back again. He feels like the win last night is going to let them ride the wave through the weekend. I would love to see it. The Preds have been on a roll as of late. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you want to text or call, final call for phones here on our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We will wrap up the show on the other side. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Final segment, next man up, 102.5. The game.
Let this
Jake
ride.
Wyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly. Oregon, Indiana, coming up tonight in the Peach Bowl. Winner takes on Miami for a national championship.
We got to do the chant if they play the part. Oh, they don't. Never mind.
Dante Moore, Fernando Mendoza tonight. I wonder if this could have impacts on the race for the number 1 pick. I agree. I think Mendoza is more than likely going to be the pick for the Raiders at number 1. But if Moore goes out and just straight up outplays him tonight, I do wonder if maybe the Raiders take a second look at who they might be taking first overall.
Yeah, I mean, this feels like a really up in the air first round pick or first overall pick. I mean, we all assume it's going to be Mendoza. We all assume the Raiders are going to take a quarterback because, quite frankly, they probably need to. I don't think Geno Smith will ever play a starting snap of football ever again.
Nope.
We're writing him off for good this time.
Yeah.
He won't write back.
You can write back if you want to, but yeah, Geno Smith is no longer going to be the quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders.
But this is a scouting game for that. You're looking at these two quarterbacks and thinking, okay, which one is probably more capable of leading our franchise for the future?
Right, and maybe the Raiders already have their mind made up. I mean, they've been doing advanced scouting on these quarterbacks for a while, and if they've looked at it and said, Mendoza's the guy, this game's not going to change it, but there's a chance that it's close in that room, and maybe some guys in their scouting department like Mendoza, some guys like the higher ceiling of Moore, and we'll see tonight. This one will be really interesting. 2 high-level quarterbacks, 2 great coaches. We're all going with Indiana, but I think it's going to be another really good game.
Oh, I do. I agree, too. I think this playoff in general has just been a massive improvement from last year's. You've had more close games. Last night's game was a perfect example. Ole Miss, Georgia was a great example. The others, maybe not so much, but I feel like this one's going to live up to expectations. This has got a lot riding on the line. It's a rematch. Oregon wants revenge. Indiana's out to prove that they are what people say they are. Curt Cignetti will be mad if he doesn't win by 50. Dan Lanning will be mad if he doesn't win by 50. It's 2 coaches that are kind of opposite, but kind of the same in the same way.
Yeah. They both have worked under Nick Saban.
Yeah. All 4 of these coaches that were head coaches in the semifinals were Saban tree products.
Yep. So I'm picking Indiana. I really do hope it is a good game. And Curt Cignetti doesn't just blow them out of the water, which I don't think is going to happen.
No.
If you had to pick right now, are you taking winner of this game over Miami?
Yes.
That's what I'm leaning towards too, but
I told Joe this yesterday.
Miami's got like a team of destiny feel to them. So does Indiana though, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it's not like last year where, once Ohio State rolled Oregon in the Rose Bowl, you're like, all right, this team's probably going to win the national championship.
Right. And that's kind of how I felt with Indiana after last week. I don't know. This is the playoffs have been outside, and Benjamin makes a good point in the text line. The first round wasn't great.
Right.
We got one decent game with Oklahoma and Alabama.
Well, we all
and
know
then
why.
A&M and Miami.
We know why the first round wasn't great.
Right.
There's 2 reasons.
Right. There were 2 blowouts. Yeah. Like A&M and Miami was a close game. 10-7.
But it was 10-3.
10-3. Sorry. Yeah, 10-3. Just not a whole lot of offense. Like I say decent game for Alabama and Oklahoma because it was moderately entertaining, but it was 17-0 Oklahoma, and then Alabama just wiped the floor with them the rest of the way.
Yeah.
The quarterfinals were okay. Some good games. Ole Miss and Georgia was good.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State, Miami was solid. But yeah, last night, probably the best game that we've seen.
I mean, Ole Miss, Georgia was
good. And, the constant pump fakes of the stage going out at the end made it even more entertaining. But I think last night is the best playoff game we've seen this year. I'm excited to see tonight's game because, again, it's tough to beat a team twice in a year. Like, Indiana went into Oregon, punched them in the mouth, and won that game. It was 30-20 was the final. I think Oregon's got some get back to them tonight. Indiana's going to have to come ready to go. And
I think Oregon's the only team capable of beating Indiana that's left. Obviously, there's only another team left, but I think if Indiana advances to the national championship, they would probably beat Miami by double digits. I think Oregon and Miami would probably be a closer game. So
yeah,
I'm rooting for competitiveness. I'm rooting for closer games.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Oregon, Indiana tonight, and then I agree with you. I think Miami and Oregon would be a really good game, especially the Cristobal ties to
there's
it.
storylines to it.
But Indiana getting a chance to play for the national championship would be really cool. Weston Hermitage says, Jake, Connor, and Parker, I'd love to take you fellas out for some Cracker Barrel hash brown casserole. When are y'all free?
It's a date. It is a date.
You've got me.
I think I've said it on the air before. I haven't been to Cracker Barrel in a long time.
I hadn't been in a long time either, but when I went to Lexington a couple months ago for Kentucky, Tennessee, we celebrated, of course, you know the history of that rivalry. It was for the beer barrel. So in celebration of the Vols winning the beer barrel, we went to Cracker Barrel for breakfast. It was very good.
I like it. I have not been in a while, but maybe I need to change that.
It was
maybe,
affordable.
Maybe Wes from Hermitage can take us out, and we'll.
I'd take a hash brown casserole any day.
I'd like to use the final 2.5 minutes of the show here to complain about Chris Ilitch, Pizza Boy, the Titans owner, or the Tigers owner.
Please do.
Just quick headline from yesterday. The largest discrepancy in arbitration salaries ever. For those of you who don't follow baseball closely, once a player gets close to being a free agent, you go to arbitration. And a player submits what he thinks he's worth. The team submits what they think he's worth.
They do that in hockey too.
And and if you can't negotiate, then it has to go to arbitration. $32 million is what Tarek Skubal submitted. Back-to-back Cy Young winner. Feels pretty reasonable.
That's fair.
Tigers came in $13 million below that at $19 million. They paid Alex Cobb $15 million to not throw a single pitch for them last year. And you're offering the back-to-back Cy Young winner $19 million.
Enjoy Los Angeles.
Pull out some of that Little Caesars money and pay the best player on your team and the best pitcher in the world.
Are you the only one that calls him Pizza Boy, or is that just
I did?
universal?
I did not come up with that. I've taken that from Tigers fans. I might be the only one in Nashville who calls him Pizza Boy.
Yeah.
But
you're not the only Tiger here at the station.
Yeah,
you know that, right?
Yeah, Rex Road, D-Mace.
Yeah.
We got some Detroit guys. I'm not a Detroit guy, but I am a Tigers fan. Anyway, just wanted to get that off my chest. Chris Ilitch, use some of your pizza money and go make this team competitive again. And that starts with extending Tarek Skubal.
Should I buy a pizza to contribute to the funds of
I
Skubal?
have been saying if he goes and makes a big move, whether that's signing Alex Bregman, extending Tarek Skubal, I will go all out at Little Caesars. I'll buy all the hot and ready pizzas and the crazy puffs and the crazy bread. I will spend $50 in one night at Little Caesars, which is a lot of food. If you just go out and do something to help this team. Nope, he doesn't do it. Anyway, that's my rant to end the show. That wraps up our show for the week. Chase and Big Joe are coming up next. Connor, always a pleasure having you on.
Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure to be here.
Big thanks to Max Herz for joining us in the first hour. We'll be back on Monday with reaction to the second college football playoff semifinal and the first weekend of the NFL playoffs. Keep it tuned right here. Chase and Big Joe are coming up next on 102.5 The Game.